Okay, hi there boys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. Right, we've got another fun evening of TipTop EU Open Scrims to look forward to. Already checking out some of the names in the lobby, some we're familiar with. A lot of good teams in there. Like to welcome my co-caster for this evening, the fantastic spamster that is Jammy Gaming. How are we doing, buddy?
Spamster.
Spamster,
That's
mate.
a new. Yeah, hello, mate. Yep, really good to be here. Lovely to see this tip top again.
Yeah, looks like we've got might still get a few late players coming in. Got about 17 in the lobby so far. We certainly had some very exciting games last week. Vixard doing very, very well last week. Animals also had a couple of good games and some exciting finishes. First match is going to be on Erangel as normal. Yeah, hopefully we'll have more of the same. Some good action, lots of explosions, and lots of things for me and Jammy to have a spirited, intellectual type debate about mid-game, or what will actually
Yeah, sorry.
or what will actually end up doing is just giving each other grief, because that's what we do. But yeah, some good gameplay last week, Jammy. Hopefully more of the same.
Absolutely, yeah. We saw some really good aggressive play, some high kill counts as well. Like you said, the likes of Vixar coming in with double-digit kills, and Animals doing well, and of course the tip top teams, ranking well as well. Really looking forward to tonight's action. We've seen some of the stuff happening on PMCO on the qualifiers.
Yep.
And now it's time for the real experts. By which I do, of course, mean the players, not the commentators.
Oh well, yes. Yeah, funnily enough, I was waiting for the call from PMCO for me to do the casting, but for some reason it didn't come.
Did you not get the call?
I didn't get it.
I turned them down, mate. I don't do amateur stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get the call. It's a bit like
this is awkward.
Every Saturday when England play, I'm expecting Eddie Jones to give me a call and tell me to get my boots back on. It just doesn't happen. It's weird. Although the way they played against Scotland last week, I'd have done a better job.
I don't recall there being a game. I don't think there was one. I think you might be imagining that.
Yeah. Okay. Don't think we're too far off. Probably a minute or so. We've got, let's have a look, 71 players. So we are potentially still missing some. Looks like there's a whole team missing there.
Yeah, it looks like we're missing one of the teams. Yeah, in the middle of the roster there.
Yeah, who's there?
As it's a whole team, I think we're going to go without them by the looks of it.
Team 15, Gold Nova. So,
Gold, yeah.
Okay, well, looks like we're now going into the lobby, getting ready for the plane. Erin got our first match, as I've said. Yeah, hopefully we're just... Come on, load up. Stop trying to... Don't mess with me. Do not mess with me.
That's fine, I'm sure it'll be fine.
So the stream this evening being, as is our custom now, the stream this evening is being cast simultaneously not only on my YouTube channel, but also on Jammy's Trovo account, giving you guys the option to decide which platform you wish to view it in. So do check out Jammy's account. He also has a YouTube account, of course, as well, so do please check that out. Okay, here we are, 4 seconds from the play, 72 players in the lobby, and we're about to get into it. Okay, and here's our plane. And let's check our flight path here. So, yes, down from the north over shooting range, going towards the Ferry Pier Primorsk area. So, Millbase certainly in range, as is Pachinki, as will be North George and George Crates. What do you think, Jamie?
It cuts off. It's an interesting one because it's almost central, but it's just west enough that it cuts off huge swathes of the eastern side of the map. So teams that would normally do somewhere like Yasnaya, Milta Village or Milta Power, and the Novo Crates, we're probably going to see some desperate attempts to get vehicles and scramble east, or they're going to go to secondary drop locations over in the west.
Yep. We've got some people exiting now.
Interesting to see that nobody jumped quickly. Nobody went over to Severny or shooting range. Normally we get one team, one or two teams up in the Severny area.
I thought we might get somebody trying to cross for Zaki, loot up a bit, get a vehicle.
Yeah. Instead, it looks like we've got a bit of a group going up to North Georgia Pole. We've got a few up there. Maybe some of those are going to head up to Zaki. Maybe they're going to get one of the Western vehicles.
So it looks like we've got squad number 24. That's Animals. We did feature them last week. Very aggressive gunfighting team. They've got okay. Yeah, what are we doing here?
Teletubbies, yeah. We've got the TipTop Teletubbies, Team 19 as well. They're all over at the western edge of North George. There we go. So
what's going on there?
About down. Yeah.
So, okay, yep, we've got CN1 here, team number 19, and they're going to.
They have actually landed now. I think there might be a little.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a bit of a delay thing going on here. Doesn't happen sometimes when you have a lot of players all in one location. Come on, start getting yourself sorted here. And all these guys free falling from 40,000 feet. Come on.
Well, we do have Animals and CM1 are close to each other. I know I've got similar issues on mine. I think mine's loaded a little bit better. I'm currently watching one of the CM1 team 19, who are just near the Animals Lions team. Zay, although judging by the way they're moving around, I think I've got similar. They're just sort of going backwards and forwards.
Okay, we're starting to get some nades out now. So we've got Rebels not too far away from CN1 TipTop with squad number 17. That's 4 Angry Birds, not too far away in the distance. Looks like our friends from Vic are already starting to light up the kill feed.
Yeah. One thing we mentioned, the flight line and rotating around, and look at that, nobody went to Severny and it's paying off.
Shots are now coming out. I don't think we've got any knocks on this particular situation just yet. But some damage being poured into CN1 there. And actually we have one of the Animals team has been taken out. And looks like we've got some more gunfire over here. So
I'm just looking actually, and you mentioned some knocks and Vicks.
And here we go. Rebel crashing through the door. They're taking out one of the CN1 players. So CN1 certainly under some pressure here now.
So Zay down, Kid down. It's just Joker.
He's the only person left on his feet. Does great work with the 762 there. Doesn't manage to get the thirst and is in turn taken out. So that is CN1, one of our teams from our host TipTop, taking an early exit there for 4 kills for the boys and girls from Animals. Well played, guys. So here we are, 4 Angry Birds. Yeah, Fixard. Yep.
Yeah, and they've taken out already. I didn't even see where they landed, but I'm just looking at the feed, and they've all been taken out.
Vixard out already. That is a bit of a shock.
Yeah. So apologies, we didn't catch that. They were one of the leading teams from last week. And in fact, I'm not sure, they might have taken the overall win.
I think they did. They certainly took 2 individual game wins. Okay, that's our general situation on the map. There's our first circle, so pretty benign, right bang in the centre. Millbase will be featuring for at least a few stages of the game. We've got 2 teams down on Millbase, but they're separated at Novo Crates and in the Millbase itself. We've got a bit of a congestion going on between the sort of Rozrock and Yasnaya area, but doesn't look like we've had a lot of combat thus far. Big Zard and CN1 being early casualties. So what are your thoughts on, I mean, it's pretty 6 and 2 3s, that circle could go anyway. It's difficult to make predictions on that one, Jerry.
Absolutely, and I mentioned about nobody jumping early, and it's paying off for them. The later you jumped, the more likely you are to be in zone. Teams are indeed heading over to the east. We've got the TipTop Fate, Team 12, have headed over to Novo Crates. We've got one team, which is have actually headed into Central Millibase. We do have actually Team 11 bad boys there. They're gone to the small compound south of Farm, and it looks like one of their players, I think Lupin there, and Lupin. Oh, they've actually got 3 players. Sorry, on the boat heading under the Eastern Millie Base Bridge, going for a rotation round to Milton by the looks of it.
Right, so they're well within our central zone like that. You can hit the other areas that were not available to you from the flight line. So yeah, I predict we may well have a sort of very busy phase 4, 5, 6 of the game because we're potentially going to be going into those stages with a lot of players still up.
Yeah, and you look at teams that have dropped maybe somewhere where there aren't many teams around them, and because they don't have to make a mad rotation to a really evil zone shift, they're in sort of their mindset is in looting phase. So they're going to be going around. I mean, you look at Team 18, I think it is on there, Unity Elites to west of Mansion. Look how spread out they are. I mean, that's how you would normally drop initially. But, come a couple of phases, are they going to start coming back together so they can get involved in some fights? And if you're already in zone, you don't have that pressure.
Well, little bit of quiet consolidation. We've still got those 2 teams in Rosrock overlooking each other from opposite sides of the road, but nobody really seemed to have any desire to push that one aggressively. And to be honest with you, nobody else is really that close to another team. Even the situation we had when we landed at North George seems to have resolved itself. Teams rotating away. We've got a couple of teams now coming in from the north and west, just coming into the edges of circle. But yeah, quite a spread here, Jamie.
Yeah, it's fairly benign, as I say, because it's such an ordinary zone. No one's being pressurised by it, so they're able to make fairly easy rotations in. The ones that even need to. The rest, it's more about making sure they've got the loot and then getting to their preferred position. None of them are particularly under pressure.
No. And let's have a look. I mean, these guys fairly well looted up. So what's he got here? Car 98, Scar round, level 2 gear. So
it's not a bad place to be.
Now, yeah, we're getting some smoke out now. Now these guys are certainly situationally aware, but a little bit of separation between the sort of 2 different parts of the team there, but nothing too drastic. Got a drop coming out overhead. That might bring somebody out. You never know.
Yeah, and what we've got, you see animals who were at North Georgia Pole, we saw in that initial fight. They did indeed rotate up to Zaki, got a couple of vehicles, and then they're coming back south from shooting range at the moment. So they're the only ones that are on the northern part of the map. But I think we can almost guarantee it's going to be at the very least a mainland, if not maybe even a military base finish.
Yeah, you don't often get mill base finishes on Erangel, but I think we have covered 1 or 2, but they don't seem to be very, very frequent.
No, so down in the southwest, actually, we've just got the Brave Better team, Team 20, and they're rotating in from Primorsk, and they're coming up to the 2 PM team that were just north of Ferry Pier. I don't know whether they're going to engage or whether they're just going to rotate past. And yeah, I think 2 PM, because they're on foot, they're just going to let Brave Better go and make sure they use that information later on. Although their teammate, I think, is their teammate going to get involved? They've gone to the compound? I think they have. Their teammate, Waju, is currently getting involved with all of the Brave team.
We're getting into it now with team number 20, Brave. Taking a kill there. Just the 1 kill so far for these guys, but looks like they've just taken out potentially an advanced scout taken out there, jamming. Taking some fire from the hilltop now.
Waju was out on their own, and now the Brave team are coming under fire. Their UAZ is now a bit of a smoking ruin at the moment, so they've gone from a real position of strength because the rest of the team, although they weren't close to Waju, because they reacted quickly, they can now put the Brave team under pressure.
And we've got another one of their players now approaching on the left, potentially doing a rescue job with the vehicle. Smoke goes out. Yeah, these guys, yeah, pretty good to press that single scout there and take them out. But yeah, expose the vehicle. It did cut them off a little bit.
Absolutely, it did. And yeah, the 2 PM team, yes, they've had a player taken out who was very, very isolated. As you say, maybe a forward scout. But they were quite quick to react and put pressure on. They couldn't convert it into a knock, unfortunately. But they are all on foot, the 2 PM team. That's one of the issues.
So there is our next circle. Looks like we're not going to be on mill base. We're going to be in this, well, pretty much slap bang in the centre of the map, actually. Again, I mean, yes, some teams down at mill base will have to rotate, but again, the zone not particularly challenging, not thus far. We've had a bit of action. We've had a bit of action here with team number 22. Looks like 3 of their members have been taken down, and Jesus here is rotating away from that one into the school buildings.
And it was this team that actually took out the Vixar team. So Jesus here with the BL squad, which is Blinding Lights. I was just looking back at the feed as it goes out, and yeah, they were the team that took them out early. So our friends from Brave are getting involved again.
And
there's a where are we? Yeah, so Brave rotated across, and as they're rotating towards centre zone from the southwest, they started getting involved with Team 21 there, which is Cyber Esports Karate, CIS or KEXC.
So we are getting teams now starting to come together a little. But again, 58 players. Still only phase 2 of the game. Does look like our beautiful sniper tap shot there with the SKS and his partner on the left. So that is Blaze, who was knocked with that one. Some rounds coming back at these fellas though. I've got this controlling ground just using the ridge here.
Yeah, I think the Brave team were actually heading from the far southwest. They were slightly out of zone. I think they were on their way towards centre zone, actually, try and get a better position and consolidate. And then they saw that the top esports team were there and managed to get some shots into them. So take it while they can. So
managed to establish a knock, but that has been that player has been got back up. So yeah, bit of a long range engagement. I mean, I wouldn't keep poking the same window, mate. He's dinged you twice. You know.
Best thing, they've got the hard cover. They need to make the most of it. And like you say, peeking the same window each time is not making the use of the hard cover. Whereas the Brave guys seem to be intent on, are they going to rotate away from this fight, or are they going to stick with it? I think they're going to move away from it. They're going to head back and get a better position. They are exposed to the north here.
Yeah, just getting a couple of opportunity shots in there. They are taking some rounds though. They've got squad number 8 just off to their left flank. So it looks like they're heading in the opposite direction. There's a rock there, mate. And looks like we're going to crash into our squad house here. Get the vehicles inside. Good play. And
they've got another fight going on just to the east and north as well. They've got the guys from Unity and TipTop Fate over to the east getting involved.
So here we are with Unity. They've got all 4 players up at the moment. Some great work there. And here we are with Scroll from squad number 18 Unity. Now, nades going out. We've also got a fight going on at the top of this ridge here.
So Scroll had made sure we'd got a molly in there. He's got a couple of nades in there just to make sure everybody in that building was dead. And so that is the oh, excuse me, I didn't see which team it was. That Grey, I think that was 13. Was that New Star? I think. No, they're still going. Apologies, just trying to find out who that was.
Okay, so we're still in the middle of this. What? There's 4 teams all involved in this fight.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got CM1, Unity, RE8, and GC teams. GC again. Actually, it's not again. It's GC Faith Killer. So we've got a couple of GC teams in here. Just to let you know, the phase 3 zone has shifted. We got our first relatively hard shift of the evening, and we are going northeast. So we're going to be between school and mansion.
So these guys are currently engaged in a fight now. They're on the edge of what will be the new circle. A lot of teams to the south here having to push, so the southern edge of our new circle is going to be pretty busy, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, where no one jumped north, no one jumped early, and so everyone went in the middle or south, and then we started off with a fairly benign southern zone. Everyone's moving up from the south, so this southern edge is so congested.
We're here with GC. They're putting some rounds across to our friends from Uno, squad number 9. They took a win last week also. I think it was another Kennedy game these guys took. And some beautiful spray work with the M4 there.
Just the slightest hint of a headshot there, and I think it was actually his teammate, the third player on the list. Unfortunately, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but that was his teammate who took that player down from Uno.
These guys are fighting as A3 at the moment. Now, they're aware they've got at least 1 or 2 other teams around them. Let's have a look at Unity's perspective here. Ria, how are you doing? Probably staying a little quiet.
Yeah, so Lovesweet is the last remaining player from his team there. We saw him getting some shots taken from the southern edge, although that team has now rotated away, the CM1 team.
Here we are with Nish, who I think we featured quite a lot last week. Good player.
What we do have is we've got the top team coming through Pochinki at the moment, so they're going to pop out into zone. It'll be interesting to see whether they go straight into zone or are they going to try and rotate around, maybe in the knowledge that there won't be so many people in the north because of just how southern the first zone was. Is anyone going to risk it and go north? At the moment, it's only the ones in school apartments that are north.
And it's still fairly, I mean, you have to say people are playing positionally. We're phase 3 of the game. We're still running around with 54 players. It's
I think once we get into phases sort of 4, 5, and 6, I think you're going to be earning your play-by-play money as you
I think so, because we're going to have a lot of players running around.
Absolutely.
But with that central zone, I mean, we kind of thought that might be the case anyway, Jamie.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You get everything concertinas towards the middle and end of the match, and we're starting to see that now as teams are taking fights on from all angles.
So here we are with Uno, and they're certainly getting into it with our friends from Top's team number 10. Been whacking rounds into each other for a little while. We've also got another team involved in this one. So Uno in a somewhat difficult position here in that they've got teams to their front and rear, and they now found themselves out of zone in phase 4 of the game, Jamie.
They have, and the team that's behind them is right on edge of zone at the top of Potato Hill. So that's the GC Faith Killers that are behind Lax as we look at it now. So he's got that team to his back. If they can come over the hill, they can gatekeep and get a really good view. They'll hear the fighting going on. So are they going to take advantage of it, or are they going to just rotate into zone? I think they might just be rotating. I
think they're taking to the edge of circle actually. A decision these two teams are going to have to come to rather quickly. 1 minute until the blue starts to push. That's Nish taking a knock on Jelly there. Great work. But they are slightly out of circle here, these guys, and they're going to have to take the decision to finish this fight up. To push it or to rotate. Looks like Nish is still quite closely engaged with these guys. He's further forward than the rest of his team. And here we go. Beautiful work there from Nish. He has taken a bit of damage for it though. But great spray work with the M762. Gets the kill and the confirm there.
Yeah, and takes down Top Esports into 15th place. That was really important. He had to take that fight and effectively win or lose it. He couldn't hang around with zone. He had to just do one or the other, and he did, and it was decisive, and he takes them down. So
these guys are now going to rotate, and there's no easy route for them, really. They're going to be, at this stage of the game. And it looks like we might have a pretty open final period of play, Jamie. Doesn't look like we're going to be seeing too many squad houses.
No, at the moment, in the northwest of zone, we've got school apartments. That could be absolutely vital. At the moment, we've got the, who's that? That's Team 5, the GC again. And they're in the school apartments at the moment. Be interested to see if zone shifts away from there, or if they're going to have to hold on to that, because that could be a really interesting floor-by-floor fight.
So these guys are taking some rounds as they attempt to rotate in. GC have already established themselves a presence on edge of circle.
So Nish from Uno is actually heading his way into school apartments. I think he's actually made it to one of the apartment buildings, and we already saw that Max is now following him in. So we've got 2 teams over at school apartments now. Everyone else is pretty much out in the open on the hillsides.
So here we are with our friends of squad number 20. They're getting pushed on by the GW guys. Getting a couple of resurrection, getting reses on there. One of his teammates is still knocked, and now he's been taking some rounds. So these two getting pushed pretty hard, and that is another knock established, and the thirst established by our friends from GW there. So there's only one player from Brave up on their feet, and you have to say probably a little bit too far away from the action and engaged themselves with this blue pushing at them to be able to get back to their teammates. So looks like our friend here is going to be playing as a solo for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think Smasher's going to go down. That was double whammy there. Not only did they lose a player, they lost the one that was reviving their already knocked player. Unfortunately, he broke away from the revive to firstly try and defend against that player. But then I think maybe he took the wrong choice trying to chase that player around. He could have come back to his teammate a bit quicker and carried on with the revive. But there we go. But yeah, as you say, Brave Xerox is the last remaining player.
So here we are with 4 Angry Birds. Looks like they're in a sort of... we've got 2 teams just off in front of them having a fight with each other there.
And we saw the Uno team that headed down to school apartments to try and take it away from GC again. GC again actually took down the Uno team, but the zone has shifted northeast again, so we're going to be in that open area. And as you say, there's only realistically there's 2 compounds, one at the north and one at the south.
So here we are, Unity attempting to come into edge of circle, but certainly coming under pressure from 4 Angry Birds here, maintaining their presence in the squad house edge of circle. There goes the vehicle.
Lovely work.
Tap
work from Falcon with a little round window.
Tap work going in there. So 4 Angry Birds doing a very good job making these guys' rotation very tough indeed. They've still got the full players up. They've established 7 kills so far, so they're playing very, very well. And say hello, my friend Mini14. So
now the difficulty is, of course, with no central cover, is teams are having to hold around the outside of the zone at the moment. Only a couple of buildings within zone, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, because you can see the hillside there. You've got a few rocks and trees, but apart from that, there's no real cover centre zone. And we are going to shift over to the right of screen as we look at it, straddling the road. Now, the 3G team, who are to the east of the road, are the only ones who are, which means they may have to cross the road, but they're going to be behind the ridge. So it'd be good to see them and see if they can control that zone east of the road there.
Yeah, and the northern part of this circle is basically completely uncontested at all. Now, we're down to 17 players, 8 teams. We're in phase 6 of the game. 4 Angry Birds still looking very strong, controlling this squad house here. You'd have to say that's a great position for these guys. We've got a drop coming down. We've got a couple of players as solos. So we've got 3G with a presence on the other side of the road. Let's have a look at our friends from Unity here, using the vehicles as cover. And the next circle has broken, and these guys are outside it, so there is going to be a mad push into this southern edge of circle, Jammy.
Absolutely, and there's a solo player up in the north. It's Love Sweet from REA, who's the only remaining player, and he's hiding out at the compound up there, so he's going to make a late rotation into zone. It's the 3G guys on the other side of the road, on this side of the road as we're looking at it now. They're in a great position because they've got that natural cover with the bank. I want to see them control it and see what happens if anyone tries to crash their well, it's almost a compound really, but crash their cover.
And as more and more teams try to come in from the south, that is where the action is. We're going to lose a lot of players at this southern edge of circle, I feel. We're getting the blue pushing as well now. Our teams from team number 18 certainly under pressure. But 4 Angry Birds not getting it their own way. Team number 13's taken out there also. But 2 players from Angry Birds have now been knocked. And
so
3G
have got the zone. They've kept it. The zone is absolutely straddling the road now. They managed to fight off a crash from, I didn't see which team, apologies. But one of the teams tried to crash them, and they actually defended it really well. And they're now controlling that side of the road.
So we'll have to see.
This side of the road, we've got 3 teams trying to argue over this side. Team 8 over there, 3G, are controlling that on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys are not finishing. They're in their little fight outside of circle here. So 4 Angry Birds now been reduced to a 2. These 2 players absolutely have to push forward now. We are 20 seconds away. Phase 7 of the game. 7 teams, 7 players still alive. 3 teams contesting. And yeah, as you say, Jammy, you've got to be loving the position that 3G are holding here. They've got 4 teams. They've got position. The 4 players still up. They've got position. This is going to be a big ask for the rest of these guys.
Yeah, that's a strange glitch. Yeah, there's something going on every time the 4 Angry Birds players zoom in, I think. I love Sweet up there as a solo player, acting as a spoiler.
Again,
so
we're now.
Love Sweet is trying to remain quiet and undercover. Gonna have to shift now.
But players being pressured by the zone pushing in foes 7, and look at the spread that 3G have here. That's 4 Angry Birds player knocked and thirsted and taken out edge of circle. So we are now down to 5. So it's just Sweet left with the full squad from 3G in front of him. Yeah, here we go. This is going to be the end of the game. And yes, well, hardly a surprise there, but still a very exciting finish at the end there. Our friends from 3G taking an excellent win. Great positional play. Circle certainly helped them, but fantastic positional play and also keeping their squad together. Certainly a huge factor in their win. Great game from you guys with 6 kills in second place. So you have, is that Fate, is it? Just 1 kill for those guys. And for Angry Birds, had a very good game. 11 kills from them in third place. That's 15 with 5 kills. Is the top frag leader I can see there. We also have Yaz with 5. I haven't seen anybody with more than 5. We'll just have a quick look for you. A few with 4 there. And not really going to get very high kill counts down here. So congratulations to 3G for their win in game number 1. Jamie and I will be back very shortly for a bit of post-match. And we'll see you soon for game number 2. Bye for now. Okay, hi there, boys and girls, and welcome back. Okay, interesting game in game one. Room number 2 is open, so we've probably only got about 5 minutes or so, hopefully, before we start getting close to the playing for our second match. But yeah, your thoughts on match one, Jammy? A little bit of action at North George, and then it got very quiet. The zone not really pressuring people early stages of the game.
No, and that's why we saw so many teams and players left around sort of phase 4 and 5, because we had fairly benign zones up till then, till it had that hard shift up to the northeast. But it was a fairly standard flight line, slightly west, a very standard zone, concentrated around the central area and to the south. But what that meant was the northern edge was empty, but the southern zone was so congested around phase 4 and 5. We saw it really thin out. There was fights going on everywhere. Teams were crashing the school apartments, trying to think, that was pretty much the best hard cover in the zone. And then the zone shifted away. I have to say, fantastic zone control from teammate, from the 3G guys.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. They didn't just hold zone; they controlled it, and dominated it.
Yeah, they completely. I mean, they pretty much made it a no-go area for anybody else rotating in. They controlled the ground in front of them very well. I also thought the team from Four Angry Birds did very well defending that squad house in the corner. I think that was in phase 6, phase 7. Unfortunately, they had to vacate that, and they got themselves involved in that big fight coming into the later stages in the game in the southern part of the circle. But certainly picking up, I think they were our team kill leaders in that game. So it's certainly a team to watch for our next games, as will be 3G with the fantastic zone control there. Pretty quiet middle game, I thought, but that is often dominated by the circle, and the circle just wasn't pushing people, so people did have the time to consolidate. But as we got in the final stages of play, again, there was a lot of congestion. That northern part of the final circles was not really being utilised, which gave 3G the opportunity to mark their territory, dominate their ground, put guns in every direction, and ultimately control the game coming into the final stages of play.
Absolutely, because in the northern side, we saw there was just the one solo remaining player from that team who was rightly getting into zone and making sure they were there, getting placement points. They weren't pressurising 3G. There was one team that did, and they came in, but they rotated. I think they had some players the 3G side of the road and some the other side. And so they were taken out by different squads because they separated like that. Maybe they were hedging their bets on which side of the road to go, because of the way the zone was, because it was straddling the road. But ultimately, it meant that they got taken out perhaps a little easier than if they'd gone either one side or the other and make that gamble.
Yeah, one of the early shocks we had in that game were our friends from Vixard being taken out early. We were covering a fight with TipTop and Animals at the time, I think, up in North George, Vixard early exit for them. So I'm sure they won't let them get them down too much, but certainly very dominant last week. Slow start for them this week, Jamie.
Well, we saw two of the more dominant teams taken out, didn't we? Very early. Vixard, unfortunately, we didn't see, but the one we did see was CM1.
Yep.
One of the CM1 teams taken out. And as you say, they've dominated games that we've watched before, and so to have them taken out early, it then means that other teams are going to get some more kills, because they regularly get double-digit kills.
Yeah. We saw a very aggressive team, so we'll be interesting to see if they feature more heavily on Miramar. Miramar was one of the games that they won last week. That's where we're heading for game number 2. I believe we're about 2 minutes from the plane. Traditionally, Miramar, it's sort of followed a pattern, I think, in TipTop scrims. We get our early action, such a big map, of course. And then we get the sort of long-range fights as people looking to consolidate ground. Unusual finish last week in that we actually had a more urban finish in El Pozo, but normally comes down to which rock you're behind on some hilltop somewhere, and how well you control ground. So teams that do exactly what 3G did there in game 1, that's exactly the kind of tactic that can work in final stages of play in Miramar. And it's certainly a game that traditionally, from the point of view of streaming TipTop scrims for quite a few months now, is one that we tend to look forward to and tends to be very exciting, Jamie.
Yeah, as you know, I love Miramar anyway, but I love the tip-top scrims on Miramar because yes, you tend to get the early skirmishes where people are trying to establish themselves in their drop locations. Then you get the looting and rotation phase, and it depends on what happens with zone where that goes. But we have seen in that mid phase where sometimes it can be a bit quiet. We have seen in the tip-top scrims that a lot of the teams have the same idea about where they're going to rotate and what their route's going to be, and so we do end up with quite a lot of smaller skirmishes midway through the game as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know the reason that you like Miramar, mate, is because it's the only place where you can get a level 4 bag that you can put your tent in. So that you can,
I need a level 4 bag to fit the scope in that, and I need to hit people from the distances I do.
Yeah. And also, the tent. And then what's that activity you do on Miramar when you bring a tent, Jammy? What's that called again?
Oh dear,
I can't remember. I know Jammy's very good at it anyway. And
basically, if it happens more than a metre away from the opponent's nose, it's called camping.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to see that they haven't shaved in 5 minutes. So we should. I think we're only about a minute away now. We should be going into our game, one that we tend to look forward to. We've got 70 players now. I know that I think team number 15 were no shows in game 1, and it doesn't look like they're present at the moment, Jamie, which are our friends from Gold Nova, which is a shame because they're a team that we do normally like to keep an eye on. Good bunch of boys and girls. We're still waiting on one of the Animals team, I think.
It looks like team 6 as well is missing. 51%.
So
team. Don't think they were there for game 1 either.
I don't remember seeing them. Our winners 3G or well already in as our Vic. That's excellent. CN1, yep, and looks like we're going in. That looked like about 70 odd players, I think, Jamie.
I think, 70, 71, something like that. So I think we got 14 teams. I think, let's see. Still waiting for it to load in. So, we've got 71.
Okay, so we're here. Waiting for the plane now. As Jamie says, 71 players in the lobby. We're 30 seconds away.
Now, one thing that's so important on Miramar, probably more so than any other map, is the flight line. Because it's so big, these teams will have 2 or 3 drop locations that they will practice. And so depending whether it's an evil all the way to one side flight line or a fairly benign straight across the middle flight line will decide where they jump to. And that can then have a huge impact on the rest of the game.
We're about to find out as there goes the countdown, and we are on the plane. And let's take a look at our flight line, Jamie. And, well, we had north to south in game 1. We've got south to north. And, again, pretty much central, straight through the map, straight over St. Martin. So expect action potentially Picardo, Hacienda, Los Leones. Very central flight line.
Absolutely. And also a place like Chumacera, where we've seen getting busier and busier in the last few months. Seems to be the new meta is head towards the compounds in and around Chumacera. But this is the flight line that the teams will love because they will be able to go on the whole to their primary locations.
So here we go. We're getting a couple of teams jumping early, Jamie. We didn't have that in game 1, but 3 or 4 teams out the plane nice and early.
Yeah, look at TipTop Fate heading over towards the southern islands there, over to Los Higos. They're the only ones that are doing that. I've got a few teams going over to the eastern side, towards Puerto Paraiso. A couple of teams in and around Los Leones, and 2-3 teams heading over to Chumacera.
And okay.
And I think there's only one team heading to Picardo by the looks of it.
Our friends from Vixard on the deck, they've hit Los Leones. Looks like we've only got the one team, that's Uno, heading into Picardo, Jamie. Seems to be less and less popular as a jump location now, Picardo.
I think as we do these tier 1 scrims, the teams are actually, looking to get further on in the game and say there's no point in jumping, hot dropping Picardo. But because of that, they're just dropping somewhere else. And so they're all hot. They've got 3 teams in and around Chumasera, and Loki's already been taken down there for Unity.
We're here with Unity. They've lost a player. Looks like they're getting into it with our friends from Fly. New start. Squad number 13. So it looks like an early kill established for those fellas.
And we do have our first zone that's broken. It's going to be centered around sort of Monte Nuevo area. So we're going to be heading west, fairly central vertically, but it's going to be a western zone. So all those teams that drop down to Puerto Paraiso and Los Leones are going to have to rotate in. So they're going to have to add that to what they're going to do. And on Miramar, of course, it is absolutely vital that you have a pre-planned and well thought out rotation because of the distances involved.
We do have some teams. We've got a bit of a separate. Let's have a look down here. We're down at Puerto Paraiso here with our friends from Brave. But also, it looks like we've got a bit of a situation that we saw in Game 1 with one team member out as a scout. So we'll certainly be aware of the Brave team there. Reporting back to the rest of the team. Quite happy to maintain a low profile at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the Brave team are actually quite spread out as well. So he's got his other 2 BB players, Brave Better players, or teammates over in Puerto Paraiso. But Brave Lena's just been taken out by Lupin there.
Yeah, they're rotating in a vehicle and obviously driving past, so taking a casualty. Just want to check out this situation north. We have AMZ, who we know are quite an aggressive team, and they looks like they're already getting into it with our friends from squad number 21. That is Cyber Esports. Come on. So Maverick here taking some rounds, but doing the business with the Uzi there. And taps out with the Mini 14. Ruthless stuff. One of his teammates has been knocked. Little bit of separation here. Natasha getting the res on his teammate. So that's 1 kill confirmed for AMZ there.
Yeah, and we saw the very quick finish there. The quick confirm on the knock. Really important there, just to make sure that wasn't giving information back.
That's another one of these players from Team 21 now taken out. So our friend here, who's just rotating away, not getting involved in that one. So we'll be playing the rest of the game as a solo. And Animals as usual, doing the business nice and early and chalking up a couple of quick kills there, Jamie.
Absolutely. And the good thing is, of course, they're edge of zone as well. So they've got all of that area. They've got all of those crates to loot now. They can do that quite easily, knowing there's no one else in the immediate vicinity. They've got their warm up done. They've got their early kills, so they'll be feeling good for the rest of it.
So we're here with Unity. It looks like 3 of these guys have been taken out. Friends from Fly getting involved. So Unity hit. Looks like no helmet. Certainly hasn't been all one way. You can see some of the guys from squad number 13 have obviously taken some damage, but Unity in a very tough position here, and looks like not choosing to try and rotate out.
No, Skrull's taking this. Skrull is going for the fight here.
There goes out and Molly. Now, there is a very low health member on the right-hand side there. Potentially ability for Skrull will be a bit of a spoiler here and at least take 1 out, but no. Fly come round aggressively round the side and make sure that can't happen. However, 2 team members from Fly down, but they have established 4 kills, and these 2 will continue as a duo. So we're down to 61 players left alive. Still 17 teams. Still early days, phase 1 of the game. And similar to game 1, Jamie, in that we've had a little bit of a shift to the west, but as zones go for Miramar, pretty benign.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen recently in some of the scrims I've done, we've actually had some Vikendi style zones. I did one with Buff the other night, and it was actually centered just northwest of Puerto Paraiso. So we had about a third of the zone was water on Miramar. So yeah, this is quite a benign zone, especially given the very central flight line. So that'll mean the teams that they're going to think about rotating in. I mean, we can see that Monte Nuevo is roughly center zone. So there's a lot of opportunities for teams to loot, to get some building, get hard cover, and then watch where the zone goes next.
Yeah, buff, but I don't. I know not of this buff you speak of, Jamie. Are you telling me that you stream with other people? This is.
I have been cheating on.
This is this buff you speak of. I don't like the cut of his jib. How you doing, Buff? I know he's watching. So yeah, Buff and Jamie also put together some good streams for other people. Been covering a lot of our PMCO teams actually in recent weeks. 61 players still alive. We're with our friends here from team number 22 in Crater Fields. And after, as we say, pretty much as we said before the game, Jamming, we're now getting into the more quiet phase of the game where people will attempt to rotate, consolidate position. It's not very easy to sort of make a prediction as to where to go here. We've got at least 2 or 3 teams taking a position central zone, though, including one of the teams from CN1.
That's what I was going to say. Look at Team 14, GC Faith Killer, straight into centre zone. And who else is there? CN1. We see this so often, especially with the CN1 teams. They'd love to take an early shift in towards. They will go towards centre zone. Now, obviously, you don't go to centre zone where there's no cover, or just for the sake of being centre zone. But they do like to go there quickly and early and make sure that they're in the mix for being centre zone. They don't like to fight the blue.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, I was actually asked about this last night, I think. Somebody was sort of saying, what is the thinking, the strategy behind entering centre zone early game? I said, well, it can be a very effective one. It allows you to establish a squad house, allows you to cover perimeters, allows you to establish angles. But you do have to be a team good enough in that kind of close environment, multi-angle gunfight to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, and we're seeing one of those right here.
And that is one of the guys from CM1, though, has been knocked. Another fella has also been knocked. And these guys, I think, have isolated themselves off a little bit too much. Yes, they have indeed. So Kid doing his best with some long-range support play. That's one of the CN1 players now taken out. And that split for CN1 has proved to be absolutely disastrous, Jamie. 2 of their team taken out. And I think it's going to be a duo for these fellas. So not only did they not get a kill, but they've lost half the team. That's unusual for these guys. Normally very good squad tactics.
It is, but the whole squad of GC rolled up on the duo, as you say. Well, actually, I think they were running as almost 2 solos. The 2 players from CN1, the player came in to support his teammate. And what that meant is that they just didn't have the firepower because they were effectively up on the open hillside.
So, yeah.
GC team now have centre zone, and they've got a couple of kills in the mix as well. Yep,
that's going to certainly put GC in a strong position. It was still only phase 1 of the game. The blue's starting to come in now. We're not too far away from our second zone. Lots of people in vehicles now, and it seems to be people wanting to establish themselves more in the centre. They do not want hard shifts as we progress through the phases of play here, Jamie.
No, and the one thing you don't want to do, okay, the zone might not hurt as much, but with the distances involved. I mean, look at the Brave Better team there, still rotating in from Puerto Paraiso. Now, the zone itself won't hurt that much in first phase, but they've got the distance to go. And, of course, as soon as they get into zone, there's going to be teams waiting for them who aren't beaten up by the blue zone.
So we're here with Payne from sole surviving member of Team 21, who we did see rotate out earlier. We've had a nade go off. Now, whether that's because they know that Payne's up here, we'll see. They're certainly coming towards him.
I think maybe Audrey, from the opposite hillside there, may have seen.
I think they know he's there now.
But look behind him.
Yeah.
He's got a player coming up behind him in the vehicle.
And doesn't look like the guys from squad number 10 top here are messing about, wanting to push forward. Payne potentially looking at his back door. Now, he may not be aware that he's got teams behind him. Put a couple of beautiful tap shots in there. So, yeah, doesn't... and here we go. Here comes the push. And gets a beautiful knock. Manages to get some cover. Reload. Go on, my son. And that's the second knock established for Payne there, and establishes the third. So a great period of gunplay for Payne there, taking out 2 players, both coming in on the push. He's had the time to get the meds in. He's still got one of the top players pinned down by his van there. So, yeah, I mean, for one player, he's putting a hurt on these guys. He's making them work for it.
He certainly is. And the good thing Top have done is they've left one player behind to cover that high angle so that X-Plane can't just come over the top while they're getting the revive on. He's got to try and clear them, or he's going to have to get down to these two. One or the other.
So the revive has now happened. So Top back to a 3. And they'll be wanting to avenge their dead teammate. And here we go. Here comes the push. And I was going to say, could he do it twice? No, not quite. But a great fight there from Payne. Well done, mate.
Same route. They actually went. They made sure they went as a duo that time instead of going one at a time. And you know, you just can't. As good as he is, he couldn't fight against 2 guns at once.
So that was pretty exciting stuff. So well played to Payne there, the last surviving member of his team, putting up a very spirited fight. So here we are, phase. We're 56 players alive, 16 teams still contesting the match at this point. We're phase 2 of the game, about 20 seconds from our next circle popping. And yeah, nice bit of early action, Jamie. Be interested to see where our next zone goes.
Absolutely will. Now look at the map there. You got on the western side, you got the CN1 team, Team 16, the TipTop Old 6. Now they knew from the flight line that there aren't going to be many people, so they're actually heading up the western road. They're coming up from the south, and right behind them is TipTop Fate. So we've got 2 of the TipTop teams coming up that western road. So
we're here with Natasha from team number 24, AMZ, who we saw earlier already established 4 kills, and they're not too far away from another team, but looks like there. That's interesting. Animals looking to rotate away. Well, they are out of circle, so potentially looking to scout for their next compound.
Yeah, so they're going to make sure they get themselves into zone. They may well pick up the fight again as soon as they get into zone, but they know that they're not going to want to fight the blue and an aggressive. Who is that?
It's team number 23 there.
23, yeah. So yeah, they're not going to want to fight the blue zone and an aggressive opponent if they don't have to.
So, and here we go, not messing about, not much scouting there. I'm not reporting back, I'm getting stuck straight in. And why not? So he establishes 1 knock.
Time to get the first aid kit in just about.
Rest of his team now pushing up with him. And that's it, Natasha takes knock number 2. Taking some damage for it. And look at that, what a wipe from these guys. They really are a very aggressive, very fun to watch up close and personal team. And, well, I mean, yeah, just didn't care. Dropped his bike, opened up, rest of the team came in. Thank you very much. We'll have a look in your loot boxes if you don't mind. I mean, that was wham bam, thank you, ma'am, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, what a scouting effort. I mean, you're only here to report back, but no, let's get stuck straight into it there from Natasha. And as you say, followed up really, really aggressively and quickly by teammates as well.
Yeah, so we're here with team number 10. Now, looks like they're getting into a mid-range fight with our friends from Vixar. Looks like Tempura has been knocked. So what we see a lot of here on Miramar. 1 team dominating high ground, 1 team defending a compound. Can often be decided by the zone shift, this one, as to which team is going to have to get out of there, but we'll keep an eye on this for a little bit of time.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because we are out of zone, and Vixard, who I would say possibly at a disadvantage despite the cover, but they're actually the ones that are closest to zone. It's actually Top that we're with at the moment.
And Pika, I think that's Pika trying to get to his knocked teammate. Coming under some fire. That was a very risky move without smoke. That was very risky. And has paid, in fact, the price for it, because now there's 2 isolated players knocked on the left-hand flank from Vixar's perspective. So our 2 friends from Vic in the warehouse there have literally got teammates bleeding out to their left and guns up on the high ground in front of them. And a lot of open ground to cover, and the smoke isn't coming out, so maybe these guys just haven't managed to get it.
I think you're right.
Oh, my word.
And look at Jelly with the shot, but also, I mean, if you're dropping a grenade from that height, is it even a grenade? It's more like a mortar shell coming in from that height.
Well, that is... I can only assume that the guys from Vixar just didn't have any smokes to lay there, because, I mean, basically 2 players ran across that wide open zone knowing they had guns covering them, and ultimately that's killed 3 of the team. Which I can only assume they just didn't have the smokes, Jamie.
Well, even then, I think from an absolutely pure, take any emotion and your teammates out of it. Purely from a strategic point of view, you're going to have to let your teammate bleed out there. You just are. And they've lost 2 players because they went out to get their teammate. Sometimes you have to make that hard decision. Now, I'm not one to tell Vixard how to play, of course, but I think on that occasion, they should have just let their teammate go until perhaps the top team had moved away. And maybe it means that, yes, you lose that teammate, but instead they've lost 3.
Yep, so Pandawick now on his own with the guys from top pushing in towards his position. Now, we've covered Pandawick before. We know he's a very, very good gunfighter. I have to say, though, the guys from top there doing a great job from the high ground that they established. Pandawick potentially checking his 6. He's got a vehicle rotating behind him.
I think Pandawick knows exactly where his threat's coming from, though.
yeah, he's got his hands full to his front. He's got his hands full to his front here, and here we go. And, yeah, the guys from top clear that one up. Some great control of gunplay there. Some great long-range work from Jelly as well, establishing at least 2 or 3 of those knocks, I believe. So 5 kills for this team now. So excellent work. Okay, there is our situation, our next circle. So interestingly, around the same kind of area we were last week, Jammy, the Monto Nuevo between El Pozo.
Yeah, and then up in the mountains in between as well, which is that's really good for a fight because you've got so many areas that you've got cover, even though there's maybe no buildings in the middle. You've got the road that cuts between, you've got the valley it creates. So really interesting to see where the next zone goes. And we are going north up towards El Pozo and the mountains.
So here we are with one of the teams from CN1. We're also here with B, the Bad Boys. Team we have also covered before. We've got look at that, Jammy. M24 long range. Jammy's going to need a moment after that one. Yep, so that was a beautiful knock established from these guys from Bad Boys, and they find themselves literally in between 2 squads here. But I wouldn't say they're under a lot of pressure, Jammy.
Not yet. Edge of zone, minute to go. They're the ones putting the pressure on, I'd say. But
yeah.
They do have one team to their east. So behind them as we look now. Whether they know that or not, I don't know.
And the CN1 we know were reduced down to a duo because we caught that action earlier when they had a bit of a split going on, which they ended up paying for. So we're here with Bad Boys, and now what are these guys going to do? They have to start moving in. It's phase 4 of the game. So they have to start moving. So are we going to push into this squad house, try and finish this fight, or basically consolidate and get ourselves into circle here? We'll follow this one.
I think they're waiting to... Now they know that knock would have been revived.
Yeah.
And they're trying to establish another knock, I think, before they make the decision. In fact, they're going... I think what they were hoping was that their sniper could have got the knock, and then these guys would then crash in. But I think instead they're just going to rotate in towards zone. Keep a watching eye over there on Uno, but just get themselves into zone.
Well, I think that's probably the right play. Get themselves ahead, get themselves situated in zone, and potentially gatekeep. But they're coming under some fire now. Oh! The crash didn't help, but the vehicle then blown as these guys were coming in. And that is Lupin from Bad Boys taking out the rest of his team, following up. And these guys are being overwatched here by our winners of game number 1, 3G.
Yes, they were. Now, that was Mitch from the squad where we saw...
And there, taken out. Certainly put a few rounds into the fellas from VG, but ultimately 3G, more guns on target there. Our friend Rudy from Bad Boys here, the only one still up and under his own pressure here. Getting pushed on by Nish.
Both in the blue zone. It's hurting both of them.
It's hurting both of them. That's Nish down.
And Paradox gets taken down, so it's Nish and Paradox have gone now. So, now, as you say, they're now under pressure in front of them from the 3G guys.
Yeah.
And look how fast Rudy's health is going down in absolute chunks.
It's phase 5 of the game. This is very, very, very tough for these guys. One way or another, I think quite a lot of these players are leaving. The blue zone here is just hurting too much.
Yeah, this is a zero-sum game, this one now.
Yeah, I feel it is. That's one of the guys from 3G knocked. That's another 3G. That's 3G taken out. So Rudy's doing some fantastic work there. But whether or not Rudy's going to, or any of this team from Bad Boys are going to make it out, I think that's a big ask. We've got a vehicle available. You never know. But
and his teammate there dropping first aids. So he's got 4 first aids, so he's going to be able to heal up for a bit and get some placement points.
I think he's going to let his team bleed out, though, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
so he's just too far out. Now, who's waiting for him? If he does make it to zone, look who's waiting for him up to the north. It's only animals.
Yeah, and they're not going to mess about.
The edge of zone. I think he's going to struggle.
Animals still well to the south, though. We've got a lot of teams well to the south. We've got Top and GW establishing presence in Circle, as we also have from, who's that, GC?
Yes.
Animals also.
GC again there. GC Faith Killer. So we've got 2 of the GC teams in there. We've got the Top team to the east. Everyone else starting to make their way in now.
Animals continuing, and however, that's one of their team, and that is Animals, I think, taken out. They have indeed been taken out. The aggressive play, finally, not quite enough. We're here with Fate.
So as you said, they're still out of zone, so they need to loot up if they're looting and get the heal on. But he may not have time because this zone is going to start hurting. I think there we go. His teammate is
teammates dropping the meds, and now's the time to move.
So that's the good unselfish play and the dispassionate play from the teammate there, not getting the revive on. Instead, he's going to let his teammate go.
Oh, a beautiful knock from Silence there under the vehicle. That's one of the 4 Angry Birds knocked. These players all having this fight, though, outside of Circle. We're phase 5 of the game, 1 minute 10 till it starts to push. And yeah, there's a lot of action here happening outside of Circle. It's going to be interesting to see if people just want to push and confirm these, or if they're going to break off and rotate.
I think with a minute to go, I think they're still going to go for the confirm at the moment if they can, because they're after the kills. They know that.
And 4 Angry Birds under a huge amount of pressure here from Silence and the rest of the CN1 team number 16, who have kept themselves together as a 4 as well. And if they can clear this southern edge here, that puts them in a very strong position coming in.
Absolutely. Look at this. They're using the grounds. Striking with the FBP and the nade into Junior.
That is Stupid Pig, though, trying to push that flank and getting knocked for it. Now, one of his teammates is there. We've got top cover from Lucci here. And you have to say, 4 Angry Birds going to be very, very lucky to get out of this one.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's now gone to 10 seconds to go till the next zone. And they're right on the edge of zone. These guys need to move. They've got to break away from the fight. I think Lucci here might actually have to make the decision. You know what? You're on your own, guys. I need to get into zone.
So that is our situation. We're in phase 6 of the game. We're down to 15 players left alive. A lot of people rotating within inside of each other, and we have got a very open final phases of play. GC here doing great work controlling this edge of the circle here, but the next circle has popped and they found themselves out of it. Our friends team number 16 taken out in the centre zone there. We've got 2 players from top. One of the Angry Birds has made it in, managed to get some meds in, but is now getting pushed on by GW.
But GW are concentrating on GC, I think. Have they seen the Angry Bird Falcon there? I'm not sure. They're concentrating on GC over the way. Can't actually see Falcon at the moment.
One of the GC players has now been knocked. And again, a lot of this action happening right on edge of zone or outside of circle. So, this is going to be a very, very interesting.
Over the top of Falcon. Falcon there is in that dip. And they're just not even seeing Falcon. They're fighting straight over him.
Yeah, so he's probably got getting a few rounds zooming over his hairline. So the rest of GW now establishing themselves a present southern edge of circle. Good play. Cold here, still a little bit out on the flank here and outside of circle. And we've got GC still established as a 4, but these guys are outside of circle. So you have to say that there just isn't an easy rotation here, Jamie. I mean, look at this. It's incredibly open.
What I really love what GC have done is they've got Cold on the edge of zone, well, actually currently outside zone. But what he's doing, he's not there to win the match. He's there to spoil it for the GC team. Cold is there to make sure they don't have an easy rotation while the rest of the team are already in zone.
So we're here with the last member of GC up on his feet at the moment. These guys are now getting pushed to the blame. Phase 7, I really can't see getting out of this. Let's go to GC, who seem to have their own troubles. They've got at least, 2 players knocked. We've got the two players.
Down now, so the spoiling player has gone down now, so we are just down to the 2.
We're down to the 2, so GC doing their best to get the revive onto their injured teammates. We've got a duo from top here, one of which has now been knocked. We're here with Jelly, who we saw doing some excellent work from the high ground earlier, but he's minus a helmet, vest shot to pieces, and he's about to get pushed on very aggressively by this team from GC.
Yeah, this is, I think this is inevitable now.
Yeah, he's not going up without a fight. Establishes 1 knock. Establishes 2.
Here we go.
Taking some rounds there. And in the end, it did prove too much. That was a fantastic conclusion to game number 2 on Miramar. Really, really great work from Jelly there. But ultimately, the great positioning from our friends, GC, GW, whatever, at the end was very, very telling for them to take a well-earned win in game number 2 on Miramar. So, yep, those are going to take it with, let's look, 10 kills for that team. Top come in second with 6 kills. And in third, for Angry Birds, did rather well in game 1. Quieter game there with only the 2 kills, but still securing third place. Now let's have a look here. Looks like Jelly there with 4 kills. We certainly covered him quite a bit. Was doing very, very well. I can't see any more than that in the top 7. A few there with 3. So look, we might have got... So, yeah, no great, huge scores for individual players there. But a great win from my friends from GC there. Great fight put up at the end by Top. But ultimately, GC taking the win in game number 2. Okay, boys and girls, we and Jamie will be back very, very shortly for game number 3. Please stay with us and we'll be with you then. Bye for now. Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. And yep, some great action there in game number 2 on Miramar. Ultimately won by our friends from GC Faith Killer with a great piece of zone control and final push. Pretty much what we expected, actually, Jamie. An excellent game, some early action, a little bit of consolidation, but it was pretty much we had action mostly going through the whole game. Fairly benign zones to begin with, but that final phase of play was so open. That was absolutely brutal for the teams that hadn't managed to establish a presence in circle early.
Absolutely, it was. And like you say, we had a very ordinary flight line. We had a very ordinary first zone. And what happened, though, is the zones gradually got further and further northwest, which means all the teams, and we had quite a lot of teams that jumped down in the southeast.
We did. We had a lot of early jumpers, yeah.
They then struggled because they had to fight each other. It wasn't about getting to zone. Because they didn't take early rotations, they didn't go quickly enough. The ones that didn't ended up having to fight each other. And so even if you win that fight, you're then playing against the toughest player of them all, which is the blue zone.
Yeah.
We saw how many players the blue zone took out. Because, like I say, even if you win a fight, you're beaten up, you're bruised, you need to med up, and suddenly you don't even have time to drive out.
No, we saw that quite a few times, didn't we, where teams, even if they won the fight in the blue, teammates knocked, dropping meds, telling the last survivor to get out. And in many cases, that simply just was not the case. We had so many large-scale 3-4 squad firefights going on out of circle in those final stages of play. I actually wasn't keeping an eye on it, but I'd say we probably lost a good 10 players to blue zone in and around those phases of play coming in towards the final circles. When we did get there, some very good zone control from my friends from GC Faith Killer there, but also squad number I think it was squad number 8. Was it 3G? No, it wasn't.
We 3G, no 3G where they got taken down on the edge of zone as they were all trying to come in. Crikey.
But we had some excellent action at the end there with some great final stand work going on. But ultimately, the
top.
Yeah.
Top and 4 Angry Birds.
Yeah. But I think it was Top who actually ended up putting up the sort of final stand there. Well, one of their players, I think it was, I can't remember. One of their players at least taking 2 knocks as the team came pushing in on him, but ultimately numbers told there. And a very nice win for Faith Killer.
Absolutely, it was. And what I really liked is we saw, and I did mention in commentary, but what we saw is they had the 3 players in zone. So they knew they had 3 in zone. They were fine. But what they did is they had that one player on the edge of zone and even out of zone, not there to do anything but spoil everyone else's day. Make sure no one else had an easy route into zone. And even if they did get to zone, they would have bullet holes all the way through them. And he did exactly that. He made sure that everyone that was trying to get to zone had a hard time of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, what we actually pretty much what we saw in game 1 as well, actually, that great zone control and harassing teams trying to fight their way in proved decisive in both games. And that seems to have been the tactic that has dominated the final phases of play in our first 2 games. Now I think we're about a minute away from the start of game number 3. We've got 72 players in the room already. And as usual, we're on Vikendi. One of my favourite maps, and for teams that are controlling zone and enjoy crashing compounds, expect to see a lot of that from these guys in game 3.
Absolutely, there will be, and I love casting these on Vikendi because we don't see Vikendi very often in these higher level scrims.
Yeah,
because it's been taken out the PMGC, PMCO.
I really don't understand the thinking behind that. I don't get it.
I don't know for certain. I have heard rumours that it's because they're going to do an upgrade like they have with Erangel and some of the others.
Yeah.
So that is why they're going to do it. But whether that's true or not, or whether that's just internet speak, I don't know. But we'll see. But because it's not on those rosters, a lot of the tier 1 scrims don't have it on their list anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's so lovely to see it on this one, especially with the standard of these players.
Yeah, I mean, I'd very much like to see Vikendi come back into the more the esports, the professional esports side of things, because we know amongst those guys that contesting at PMCO level. There are actually map specialists on Vikendi. There are teams that play that map very, very well, and they almost rely on good performances in Vikendi to help buffer out maybe bad performances on other maps. So at the moment, it just feels a little unbalanced, but I'm sure that will start making an appearance again soon. But things like that can have an influence on teams going forward at the upper stages. But we're here with TipTop EU Open Scrims, who thankfully, in their wonderfulness, have decided to keep it on the roster. And it's a game I always enjoy watching. I think it does lend itself to a very specific style of gameplay, and if you like that fast crash style of gameplay, it can be a map that favours that. I mean, for example, teams like Animals, who we know like to crash and push, that this style of map may well favour their style of play.
I agree, and where somewhere like Miramar is about the planning, it's about making sure you know where you're going in advance, and the IGL makes quick decisions and says, right, we're going now. We're breaking away from this fight. We're going now because we've got 4 kilometres to drive.
Yeah.
Vikendi is all about the execution. So you will still have the same amount of planning, but this is more about good execution because it's more about, like you say, making sure you get there quickly. You're crashing compounds quickly. So, yeah, I agree. We see some really good fast action on Vikendi.
So here we are now, 70 players. So I think we've still got our sort of usual absent players that we've not had in games 1 and 2. So somewhat of a reduced lobby, but the action still very much of the standard we have come to expect from these fantastic individuals. So we're about 30 seconds from the plane. Now we've had so far games 1 and 2, Jamie, fairly simple flight lines. Fairly simple early rotation, fairly circle rotations. Vikendi tends to be a map that can really throw a spanner at that.
Yeah, if you're here for a simple flight line and a simple zone, this is the wrong place. I'll probably end up having to eat my words.
I do hope.
To be honest, 9 times out of 10, Vikendi gives us a crazy flight line and a crazy first zone.
As much as I would enjoy watching you eat your words, Jamster, I don't want you to because I love challenging flight lines and zones on here. And here we go, straight across the top of the map. So we're coming from Peshkova over to Kritchas and Dobromesto area. So Cosmo certainly in range, Mount Kreshnik in range, Villa on a long drop in range. So yes, northern half of the map here, Jamie.
Absolutely, and what's the betting we'll get a zone centred around Milner or Winery or somewhere like that?
Oh yeah, I expect there's
teams going for a quick rotation in vehicles, I would suggest, down to the south.
Well, we've got some early jumpers doing exactly that. Animals, who we've covered a few times this evening, heading south, as are one of the CN1 teams by the look of it. Early jumpers heading far south.
Look at Trovo, though. We've got 3 teams up in Trovo. 4 Angry Birds, Brave and Uno.
We're going to probably have to jump up there. Look, I think I had a quick look.
Trevno, not Trovo.
Trovo, yeah. Trevno, Jamie, Trevno. I wasn't going to call it out, Matt. I was going to wait for our loyal fan base to do that for you. Yep, so looks like we've already got shots out. So these guys are picking up the first available weapon. We're starting to get into it. 4 Angry Birds already in the thick of the fight here with also Uno. Now, as I recall, weren't Uno the team that won Game 3 last week, Jamie?
I think they were, actually, yes.
On Vikendi?
Yeah, and 4 Angry Birds Falcon is the solo player that ended up coming, I think, 3rd in Miramar just now.
Well, they're actually contested in the top few teams in the last 2 games for 4 Angry Birds. So they've already lost a player, though. Falcon, who survived all the way nearly to the end of game number 2, has in fact been taken out very early stages in game 3.
And the zone rightly doing exactly the opposite of what I said. We've got a northern flight line, we've got a northern zone centred around just west of Coal Mine.
Right, so a lot of the players who potentially anticipated what you were saying, they're heading south. I mean, we've got people all the way down in Kantra. Now they've got to come all the way back north again.
And that's why I'm a commentator, not an in-game leader.
So here we are right at the north of what is going to be our next circle of play. We're here with 2 p.m. Looks like they're getting into it with Fly, squad number 13.
This is good because we did have someone shouting in the chat. I think it was Master Bonstick. giving a shout out for 2 p.m.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, they're not having an easy time of it. They've got one knocked, one very low health, and we seem to be not very well looted up here. No bag, no helmet at this point. So these guys have obviously struggled to get looted as effectively as perhaps they would like early stages of the game. I think we've got all 4 players back on their feet now.
Yeah, so taking a leaf out of the Vimes school of fighting, which is you don't need a hat and a vest.
No, absolutely not. However, that is one of the 5 guys already knocked. And so 2 p.m. teams are knocked. 3 knocked now from 2 p.m. Molly's coming in. And looks like the pish. Oh my word! And Taloy there, literally down to the very, very edges of, and yeah, that was just not going to end well. Gets killed by a helmetless Yeti. There you go.
It's happened to the best of us.
I like it. Look at that bright
helmetless Yeti.
Bright purple helmet with fruit on and a Yeti costume. Who's not loving the sartorial elegance of that? That is worthy of Bluegrass herself. So great work from Fly there, picking up 4 kills. They did lose a team member, but 4 early kills for these guys and establishing what could prove to be a very important position, actually. Centre circle north of zone early at port.
Yeah, look at it with our early shout, Vixard getting involved up there, and they're taking, I'm not sure who it was they took down, but they've taken someone down in Critchas, so they've got the whole of Critchas to themselves now, and that is important because they're well in zone, so they can now loot that town to their heart's content.
So here we are with squad number 14. That's GC, our winners of game 2, and they're not too far away from top. Jelly, I think, who was the guy doing the final fighting in game 2, who managed to put up a very good fight at the end. So these two pretty much picking up where they left off at the end of game 2.
Absolutely, they are. And Jelly's left is the last remaining player of his team. Oh dear.
And Jelly taken out very, very early in the game there. Now GC have lost one of their number, but established the 4 kills and top. Yeah, a team that have been playing very, very well this evening, taken out early, Jamie.
Absolutely, we're seeing some of the bigger teams actually, and seeing some teams go out early. Excuse me, we're down to 15 teams already. And just looking at the south of zone, we mentioned it earlier about taking a vehicle, getting south, anticipating the typical Vikendi zone. I'll let this one carry on now. I'll let you take this one.
Well, we've got 3 teams who are all intent on sending somebody home. We're here with Uno, who I believe were our winners of this game last week. 4 Angry Birds, of course, in contention. These 2 have now been reduced down to a duo.
Yes, another one with no helmet and very low health.
And we're here with 4 Angry Birds. They're aware they've got Brave on their left flank. And that proved to be decisive, firing through the window there, but taken out from one of the players from Brave on the flank there. So 4 Angry Birds are
third-party work.
4 Angry Birds, 2 players down, and Brave. You have to say, they've got position here. They should be able to home in on these 2.
Yeah, so 4 Angry Birds a bit beaten up from that fight, and Brave know it. They've been watching and hearing that battle go on. So they know that they've got the upper hand here. They've already taken one of the team out.
Except have they forgotten to spawn helmets on Vikendi today? There's a lot of players running around with no headgear. But yeah, that's what's going to happen when you get into early gunfights. Now let's have a look here. A bit of consolidation work for 4 Angry Birds, getting some meds in, but it does look like our friends from Brave not prepared to let this one go. We've certainly got we got a 3-1 split here. Being pushed on from the flanks. Smasher here looks like pushing towards our friend Genius here. Not being funny.
Leader's been taken down on that. Who was the one of the 3-1?
And Genius doing some great work taking down Smasher there. So they're not going out with a fight, these 4 Angry Birds.
And as you say, without a helmet as well, is Genius going to come over and get the confirm? I think
so. Right, go and nick his helmet, love. Come on. Yep. But no, playing it right, go back to assist teammate. So Yeah, we've reduced that down from 4-on-2 to 3-on-2.
I think it's a 2-on-2 now, actually.
Actually, yeah, I think you're right.
Taken down on the side angle.
Yep, you're right, actually. So who says you need a helmet to play PUBG at the upper levels? Come on. And he's got the birds are not letting up. The birds just are not having this. I don't care. I don't have a helmet. Come on, take me on. And that's another one thirsted. JLS here. I love this style of gameplay. I'm buying these birds some beer. And yeah,
that's not the first time you've said that phrase.
Really is not. So here we are with JLS. Well,
is JLS going for the wide angle? Is JLS going for the tactical withdrawal?
I think. How quickly it can turn, though, Jammy. I mean, we looked at this fight coming into it, and if you were looking at it impartially, you'd have said, look, you've got to say that JLS have got the numbers here. They've got position. The 4 Angry Birds, low on gear, had to retreat back down to that coastal position just to give themselves some distance. And my word, did they turn it around fast.
Absolutely, they did, and we saw that Brave had, they were taking the third-party kill. They got one of the kills on, then they pushed and got another, and we thought it was on. It was just, it's almost all done by the shouting. But what happens? No, the Angry Birds turn it around.
Now, looks like our friend,
so well.
Yeah, looks like our friend JLS might have just had a quick peek there. So certainly aware where at least one of the birds are. I'm hoping at some point Genius has picked up a helmet, but hey, who needs it? Who needs it? You know what I mean?
Apparently not, and they're all. I mean, look how far out of zone they are. 874 meters? I think.
Yes, indeed. And right, okay. Well, JLS is not trying to play this one quietly. Out goes a nade. Now we are getting pushed by the blue, but we are only phase 1. And JLS, yep, I'll give him credit. Free-firing the corner, gets a knock, but ultimately taken out by Genius, who has found the appropriate headgear. Not that she needs it. And basically clears that one up. So 7 kills established for this team now. It's cost them 2 players, but 7 kills established for this team. What a great early game. Okay, our circle is now getting very much smaller. CN1, we've seen them do this so many times, going for that central location. Looks like they've got a couple of teams around them.
Yeah, so we've got Fate and the GC again, all getting involved, all up around centre zone.
And 3G here, who are winners of game number 1, under a lot of pressure here. Here we are with Mango Meaty. Great, Mango Meaty. Sounds great. That just rolls off the tongue, that one. I love that one.
It sounds like a fusion pizza.
Oh, my word. So, Mango Meaty here getting pushed on by another team from GC, squad number 5.
Coming up against the whole squad here.
Coming up against the whole squad, and Meaty is going to play the prize for that one, I feel. And teammate certainly not close enough to help. CN1 with a little bit of the higher ground off to the other flank there. So yes, even if our last surviving member it'd be interesting with CN1 having an overlook here. Fate might find an opportunity to rotate out, but it's a very tough position.
It is. I mean, what he's hoping for that CN1 and GC is that the 2 C? No, CN1 and GC start taking lumps out of each other and actually ignore him, and he can then make his way. Although they are pretty much centre zone, so he might be okay for a short while.
Okay, the nades still coming out. That is our situation. So we're around the coal mine area or centre zone. GC, one of the teams of GC fighting this out. Vic not too far away. CN1 establishing a presence early zone, as is their want. Right, we're going to quickly check out the action to the south here. We've got AMZ, the Animals, who we know like to play very, very aggressively.
Do indeed. Now, go back to that map view while this is happening. What I wanted to see was someone actually rotating to the north. There's no one up there.
No.
I thought someone might have taken a vehicle and gone up to that northern coast.
So Animals under some pressure here from the high ground. They've got one player knocked. Maverick certainly very, very low health. And it's Matasha that has been knocked. Certainly would be a good idea to get Matasha back up and running if they can. Effective gunfighter. Looks like one of the guys, 21, having a peek over the top there.
Oh, sounds like an SKS. Bit of tap firing from Payne, was that, I think?
And Triton, yeah, go on, stick your head out. I've got a lovely M24 762 for you.
Yeah, just waiting for that. One peak too many from Unique there. Is Natasha? I think Natasha might be being revived or not. I'm not 100% sure yet. Don't know whether they've been able to get that angle.
Right, Natasha up, but has in turn been knocked very, very quickly. Animals here under some pressure.
They absolutely are. The difficulty is they've got the high cover from...
and ZL there, trying to come round, change the focus of the engagement by pushing round aggressively to the right, but taken out for his pains. So that's another knock established on AMZ here.
It's the angles. That's what they're doing. They're controlling those high cover angles, the CK team. And that's what's doing for AMZ at the moment.
So we're here with our friends of CK. Now, yeah, as Jerry says, controlling this high ground beautifully and really putting the hurt onto AMZ, who are finding it very, very difficult to contend with this.
Yeah, that's a couple of flashbangs there.
Oh, but there, yeah, we did have a flanking manoeuvre by Maverick taking a fight to them on the high ground, and that has knocked one of the players from CK here and changed the nature of this engagement. Maverick coming in and really doing some damage here. Now, we've still got overlooked by Payne here, but yeah, Animals under a lot of pressure, but played it well as a team and able to change the engagement there.
You can see the difference. It's perfect that you switch views at that moment, because you went from being the 4 AMZ players being under pressure, and then you look from X-Payne's view, suddenly he's on his own, and he's got all 4 AMZ players are still up and going. Yeah,
so it just shows you that you know how effective these teams are, even under great pressure, and I would imagine Payne here on his toes doesn't want any more of this one. Thank you, sir. So there we go. We're into, let's have a look. We're into phase 3 of the game. We're not too far away from our next circle. Pretty much everybody has managed to rotate in. CN1 and GC still occupying that position center zone.
Look at 4 Angry Birds up in the north. I said I wanted to see someone go up to the northern coastline.
Yeah.
And who is it? 4 Angry Birds making their way in from Trevno have done exactly that. They can come through the south now, and they've got no one in front of them.
So
one here, they're centre zone. We've seen them do it so often. They go to centre zone quickly, and here they are. They're just west of coal mine. Got a lovely position on high ground.
They do. They've got a box down there as well. Now we're just going to check out these guys. This is Jesus. I think we have covered before. They're getting into it. Yeah, we're getting into it with another team from CN1, I believe. Yep, squad number 16. Just taking some pot shots at each other for the time being.
They're down in the southeast of zone. They're on that road. It'd be interesting to see if the zone shifts away from here, because the Blinding Lights team, we've got the CM1. In fact, a couple of the CM1 players, as you can see, are rotating. That's what I was looking at. I didn't want them to see them getting trapped there by this one team.
So GC also establishing a presence with Bad Boys and Vic over to the west. We've got Birds and Fly up to the north. We've got CN1, another CN1 team, and there is our circle. And that's actually not too much of a hard shift. Most people shouldn't have any difficulty getting into that one. Looks like CN1 immediately responding down in the east there. Looks like they've got a bit of a split coming on, but it looks like also the other guys are in their vehicles and looking to rotate.
They're just going. I think they're maybe just going to the next buildings in that compound, just making sure they're not the wrong side of the zone there. Was that Evan actually? Yeah, going just out of zone, just heading slightly north. I think that what they're trying to do is cover off a rotation from CM1 and making sure that CM1 don't have an easy time of getting into zone here.
Yep, they're somewhat split up at the moment, our friends from CN1.
But look at Silence up there on the hillside. We've seen Silence do this before. Take the wide angle, and then there we go.
And right on cue, Silence does the business. It's almost as if we've watched these guys before, Jamie.
Yeah, that was really, really good work. One man's a split-up team is another man's flanking angle.
And this is what we were talking about. I imagine we're going to get some hard push now.
Yeah, so they'll be able to take that one player down, I think, because the others are the other side of the road. So are we going to see the CM1 team swarm, or are they going to take it a bit more measured? I think it'll be when they identify where the rest of the other team are, that'll be when they make their decision.
We've seen them do this before as well. They'll deliver. They'll do this to draw fire. Change the angles on the engagement. So yeah, we're going for a split flanking manoeuvre. And
this is an aggressive move as well.
However, that is one of the CM1 guys not coming in. Jesus up at the Jesus up at the window. They're putting up a sterling fight. Silence playing absolutely as he had to. Push past his Nox teammate. Needs to get this team cleared. But Silence in turn has now been knocked. So this is starting to get a little bit expensive for our friends from CN1 here.
And they're outside zone as well. Only just, but they are outside zone. Can they afford to fight both? No, hopping in building to building. Reckless having time to get the heal in as well.
So, got a player just below him, I think.
Was he baiting with the nade there? I think he was. He was just making them think they was cooking a nade, just to buy himself those few seconds.
CN1 certainly coming in with the aggressive push, but they're down to down on solo now. So
Yeah.
you have to say that these guys. Yeah, I mean, I think it was the right move to go for the split and the push the way they did, especially bearing in mind that they were in this phase of the game. But that has proved expensive for them.
Absolutely was, and I think maybe it was the push across the road that was one step too far. They overextended themselves at that point. If they had have just gone round in the vehicle to where they were and just stayed in that sort of area, I think they may have been okay. But look at this, blinding lights. They've rotated, but they've kept one player behind just to hold up Reckless, I think.
And that's going to start hurting.
Evans actually made his way out now.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's going to hold the edge of zone, is he, and just gatekeep and make
But
sure.
these guys are very split up, and one of their number is running slap bang into the middle of another team from CN1.
Yeah, they're sick of seeing the CM1 on the feed.
So, yeah, going out as a solo, trying to establish an early presence in the zone and run straight into the fourth from CM1, who are dominating the high ground. Here comes the push. And you got people jumping down for putting up a great fight here, Jesus, but ultimately knocked and taken out. But, whoa, yeah, it wasn't decided to stick up a hell of a fight there. Well played indeed.
Yeah, and Reckless has now been taken down by zone. So that CM1 team go down into 10th place.
So we're here with...
And look at...
Yep.
Apologies, yeah, go on. That's all right, no, don't worry.
So, yeah, we're down to, 26 players, 9 teams. And that is a nasty shift of circle. A lot of players abandoned out to the east and south here. And who's looking in a good position circle-wise at the moment? Fly, the Birds, but Vixard especially.
Absolutely, it's definitely Vixard. What I'm surprised at is everyone was edge of zone. No one had gone into that compound. You can see that's not quite in centre zone now, but it was. Nobody had taken it. It's quite surprising with some of the teams that we've got left going now that really like centre zone, and there was a compound waiting for them.
Absolutely, yeah. So here we are with Fate coming up against squad number 5 from GC. Now, on his own, getting hit from the rear now as well. So, very tough situation. Blocks up the door with some fire. I think our friend here knows the writings on the wall. Trying to use the molly, defend himself whilst he gets his meds in.
Yeah, I mean, He was almost better off using the Molly himself.
And that is cleaned up by our friends from squad number 5 GC. So well played to them. 3 kills for these guys now.
And look at the CM1 team. They've gone straight into the compound that was centre zone. It's now southeast of zone. Vixard are in the western side. We've got the GCGW team, the Faith Killers. They're actually at a drop at the moment, and they'll be heading north, and you can see them in the background there.
Yeah. We've got our friends Animals rotating in late. I think they're down to a duo, these fellas, and they're doing it within view of our friends from CN1 and doing it on foot. So, yeah, but they like a scrap. So, that's one of the players from CN1 taken out. Triton putting in some rounds on one of the other CN1 players on the roof there.
It's a great position, but as soon as you get to peak, the only thing they can shoot is your head, and so it becomes a real dangerous position.
Well, Natasha was taken out from AMZ, trying to rotate in. Got another AMZ player rotating in just off to Triton's left here. Slightly out of circle.
Yeah, not too far out of circle, but far enough that he's been gate kept by the CM1 team, although one of the CM1 players has gone down. Someone's got a Mark 14.
And it's kicking off all over the place. Guys from Vixard are now getting into it. And that's 2 of the players from Vixard have now been knocked. Impura and Hydra. Molly going out towards Pandawick and Pika.
Oh, you have to be careful with that low toss on a Molly. Oh, wow, do you have to be careful.
Especially over a rock. Yep. But our friend here from GW Teams 14 doing an excellent job controlling that, but has found himself right on the edge of the blue. Phase number 7 of the game. We are down to 6 teams, 17 players. And yeah, we've got a couple of teams here outside of Circle who really are going to have to start thinking about coming in. CN1 establishing themselves at the edge, and who doesn't love hearing a 249.
A 249 or a Mark 14, yeah. What a great sound that is.
And Vixard
right now is really struggling to get some cover down for his teammate here, because he's being covered by, I think it was Team 5, the GC again.
And the guys from Vic here really are under some pressure. Looks like they're looking to make their way out away from this particular part of the engagement. Join up with their teammates. We're here with Pika. He's into a fight with, now I think that's Fly, who we covered earlier. And a couple of the girls from a couple of players from 4 Angry Birds, who we said would be in a good position. Great spray work from Pika there.
Really good getting the angle there from Pika. Going to have to get into zone, but his teammates are right to his side, so he knows he's relatively safe. I think he's actually coming in and stealing a kill there as well.
Yeah. So they have lost Tempura, the guys from Vic, but they're moving forward as a 3. They've now established control over this western part of the circle. And our friends from GC.
Oh no, they're pushing. They're pushing. They're not going to stay west. They are pushing.
And they're going straight.
Compound.
They're going straight in. So that is our situation. Some of the guys are taking some damage as they come in for the rotation, but established a presence at the edge of circle. Our next circle is broken, and these people who fought for this ground out to the south here have now found themselves out of it again. And look at who's up in the north. It's the 2 Angry Birds, Jammy. They're still up there.
Absolutely. Yeah, 2 of the 4 still going, and they're on the that side by themselves. They've just taken out Hydra, and look how open the zone's going to be on the hillside.
So, friends from GC under pressure. One knocked flanker looking to try and potentially get to his teammate. We've got a flanking manoeuvre here, potentially coming from one of the CN1 players. Now, 4 Angry Birds controlling the ground to the right.
Now, how can he get in? Are they going to go for a late surge into zone? Or are they going to try and take it before the zone shifts? It looks like the 4 Angry Birds have got the hillside as well. They've still got a vehicle. They've got the high ground and some rocks for cover. So they could be in a strong position here. It depends how the other teams get on.
Well, our friend Genius here, who we saw fighting earlier, has managed to establish a presence edge of circle. Getting pushed on very aggressively now. And my word, that was a huge move from CN1 there. They needed to own some space, and they just pushed at that and cleared everything in their path. Fantastic play.
Absolute Hail Mary there. That was basically shit or bust, wasn't it? They had to do something, and boy, did they do it. I mean, they committed 100% to that move.
So we are with down to 2 teams, 5 players, and CN1 have managed to establish a knock and a kill, and looks like CN1 are going to take game number 3. What a move at the end there. Absolutely vital late call just to hit their flank very aggressively, own that space, wiping out the controlling players that were left for Angry Birds, and ultimately establishing the win there. Fantastic play from those guys. What's that? 11 kills. 6 for JSKR 6 in first place. In second place, GC, they pick up 5 kills, and in third, who we did cover early game and a little bit there at the late game, for Angry Birds, and who's that? Tioto, picking up 8 kills in third place there, and 8 is certainly the most I've seen. 6, as we mentioned earlier, we've got a 4 there, 5. So yeah, there were quite a few players. Maverick also picking up 5. There were a few players with some reasonably good numbers, but I don't think we're going to get anything above 8 there. That was a great action from 4 Angry Birds there and from GC, but ultimately that game was about that push from CN1, who take our win in game 3. Jamie and I will be discussing that in just a few minutes. So we're going to take a very, very short intermission, and we'll be back with you very, very soon. Bye for now. Okay, hi there, boys and girls, and welcome back. Some fantastic action. Game number 3 in Vikendi. They pretty much didn't stop for most of the game. Uh, a very northern flight line, but then also a northern zone, which initially wasn't going to prove to be too challenging. But a lot of players had rotated to the south, so some players did face some difficulty with that. 4 Angry Birds putting up a great fight at the beginning there, also featuring at the end. But certainly that game, really, the defining moment was that incredible push by CN1 at the end to close it out, Jamie.
Absolutely, it was. As you say, we saw a great 2-on-4 over at Trevno with the Angry Birds. And then the Angry Birds involved again right at the end of the game, unfortunately on the receiving end of a ton and a half of Dacia. And what a move that was. We actually said in the commentary, I was just watching the end of it, the Angry Birds had a great position. They had a vehicle. They had the rocks for cover. It's just going to see what the other teams do. And what the other teams do, they get in a car and they absolutely Hail Mary it. What a move that was. It was 100% commitment. They went for it. They knew they had to do something. They were trapped in the buildings. They had no cover. And so if you've got no cover, well, go for speed.
Absolutely. I mean, that was all about basically owning one flank. Now, we know that CN1 in particular, actually, but we know that teams at this level are more than capable of defending multiple angles, multiple attacks. They were under a lot of pressure there to get into circle. They were engaged in one fight that they were out of circle. So they literally had to pick one flank to push on aggressively to clear to effectively establish some control in the final firefight, and they went to the right flank. There was only 2 Angry Birds there. They had a good position at north of the circle, so that was the logical choice to make. And my word, talk about commit. When they went in, they went in hard and fast. I mean, I think I clicked onto the car, and the gunfight was over 5 seconds later. It was just it was certainly the most decisive move of the game. Ultimately proved to be successful for them, as quite rightly it should have been. I think I'll give a shout out to Genius from the Angry Birds, though. That was a great piece of action at the beginning there, running around. Who needs a helmet? Come on. That was a very interesting fight. It had been reduced down to a 2 and then effectively take the upper hand with just the 2 of them, no helmet. Get stuck in, and ultimately clearing, I think, 3 of the 4 players that had been pushing them. So I thought that was a great piece of play. Also, I must admit, the Birds must have thought that they were in a pretty strong position there. But oh my word, how you just simply can't anticipate a push like that.
No, I mean, going back to the Trevno fight, what was really good about watching the Angry Birds against the 4 was they obviously trust each other because they just took a flank each. I was like, don't look at me. You don't need to cover me. I'll take this flank. You take that flank. And they both did their jobs. And as soon as those flanks were cleared, they could then come back together and make sure they go after the others.
Yeah.
And that was really, really good teamwork. Even though it was only a duo, it was really good work from the 2 of them. And like you say, it took something special from CN1 because they had such a good position at the top of the hill. They were in zone. They had cover. And some things you just can't account for. Sometimes a team does something or a player does something that is just better. And you have to go hands up. That was just better and well done.
It was indeed. It was indeed. You can't take anything away from the Angry Birds. They're a great fight at the beginning. They did have a good presence up north, which made their rotations later in game very good. And they were establishing a very good position. As we saw in games 1 and 2, teams that established controlling positions over circles in final phases of play were successful. Now, Angry Birds reduced to a duo trying to do the same thing there, but CN1 weren't having any of it. CN1, we know, masters of controlling centre zone and fighting on multiple flanks. That's exactly the situation they had, and they basically took the decision, right, we're clearing one of these out and we're taking control. And that's exactly what they did, and that's ultimately how they were so successful in that game. And it almost became I don't mean it in the strictest sense of the word, but they almost made sort of clearing that game up look routine, to be honest with you, after such a great push. It was fantastically calculated play and a real joy to watch that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when you can see they've got a strong in-game leader because they all did the right thing at the right time. And even if it doesn't end up being the right thing, maybe not the right thing, but what they did, they all did it at the same time, and they all committed, and they went for it.
Yeah,
so they obviously trust the in-game leader's decisions to go for it.
Absolutely. I thought that was probably one of the plays of the night so far, and we've not been starved of good play. Certainly, especially in final circles with some of the zone control we've seen. But yeah, that was something to watch indeed. Okay, well, I think we're only about a minute or so away from the plane or from the lobby. Most of our players have now made it into the room. So we're going to be starting our final match number 4 on one of my favourite maps, Sarnok. And as I believe, Jamie, last week, despite the fact that I'm supposed to be the expert on all things Sarnok, your guru-like Nostradamus interpretation of where potentially to drop and where the action would end was almost Zen-like, mate. I mean, it was there. It was Confucian, really.
Well, yes, but then I made up for that tonight with my Vikendi prediction that I said it'd be a southerly zone because it was a northern flight line, and we end up around port.
Yeah. I'm going to say you screwed the pooch on that one, buddy. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But so now, I mean, Sarnok is a love or hate map. I think I enjoy watching competitive squad scrims on Sarnok, purely simply because of the different nature of the game. I mean, a lot of rotations are done on foot. Territory is hard fought on foot. Smaller of our maps, but that can lead to some great, some really good gunfights.
Absolutely, it can. And my favourite on Sandhawk, both to play and to cast, is the Northwest Island. I love dropping it hard in. I like the mountains. Yes, it's because I like sniping. But it just adds that extra chaos. But what I really love when I'm casting as opposed to playing is a zone that finishes somewhere around where the three rivers meet, around the sort of boot camp north of Painan, around the boot camp Painan ruins sort of trifecta area where the three rivers meet, because it just causes so much chaos in a small zone when you have that bit of water, especially on Sandhawk, because some of the water you can run across, wade across, some you have to swim across, and it just leaves you open, and it makes that part of the map sometimes unplayable. Sometimes you can be sneaky and play the water, though.
So, yeah, we'll be interested to see how our zones break now. Looks like we might have lost a couple of players, so we're only 68 in the lobby.
I think we lost
moment.
Team 9 as well, which is, I believe we don't have in this final game.
Okay, so we're on the plane, and let's have a look. So straight between Paradise and Boot Camp there, down to Kampong. So that's an interesting one. We've got a couple of early levers, Jamie, going for the Northwest Island.
Absolutely, we have, yeah, and we'll see them maybe going across to Camp Alpha. For this map, that is a perfect flight line because pretty much everywhere.
Absolutely everything in reach, yeah, pretty much. Looks like we've got fast drop down at Hartin. AMZ taking it a little further out. Interestingly, we might have some players head down to Painan. That can often be a very hot initial location on this map, and I think we do have at least 2 heading in there.
Yeah, we've got CEK and 2PM guys, and then we've got 3G coming in just south of Painan by the looks of it.
And it looks like I think we had at least 2 teams drop boot camp as well, Jamie, from what I could see.
Yep, Brave and GC. Only one in Paradise, which is the Vixard.
Yep, Paradise tends to get left alone. I really don't know why. But, well, I mean, like Picardo Stadium, people maybe just not prepared to drop that hot anymore.
And there we go, a northern zone as well, centred west of Paradise. So between sort of Paradise Tapmog area for zones. So those that took a late drop down in the south are going to have to rotate up. Now, it's not the distance on Sandhawk, it's the fact, like exactly as you say, everything's done on foot. And, wow.
Oh, and I like
early DBS action.
Who doesn't love a shotgun to the face?
Yeah, apparently Flanker doesn't, because Flanker then finished off Xerox.
And apparently my software doesn't.
I'm looking from the map view, so I'll let yours catch up a little bit. I mean, it happens, once a night, so hopefully it would take just a few seconds to sort itself out. I was saying it's not the distance of rotation on Sandhock, because it's relatively short distances. It's all about the fact that it's on foot, and you can't just effectively auto run all the way to zone, because round every tree, every rock, every bush could be a squad waiting for you. So you do have to take it a bit more careful.
Right, we've got a little bit of a game freeze here. It does normally only take a minute or so to clear, so we'll be back with the action as quickly as we can. Sorry about that, boys and girls. Jamie, what are you seeing?
At the moment, we've just had some action in boot camp, and GC have taken out, I think that was Brave. I'm just looking on the kill feed. Indeed, it was. GC have taken out Brave in boot camp. So GC with all 4 players remaining as well. Okay. Now, I think there might be some action down in. Let me see. Is that Painan? No, it's not quite. The 2 p.m. and the CEK guys haven't engaged. Oh, they're just starting engaging now. Tai Loi has been taken out from 2 p.m. and they're down to a 3 now, 2 p.m. over in Painan. So they are starting to engage either side of the river down in Painan.
Okay, so looks like we're back. Unfortunately, we did miss the conclusion of that gunfight in boot camp, but we're going to head straight down to Painan. As Jamie said, we've got a couple of teams not too far away here. It looks like they're opposite sides of the river, though, Jamie.
They are. We've had 1 player taken out from 2 p.m. So we've had 1 small skirmish so far. No great battle, but as you say, they're either side of the river. Now, interestingly, the zone actually sort of dissects Painan slightly, although it's more of a north-south. So there's only 1 slight corner in the north that's still in zone, and that favours 2 p.m. So for CEK, they're going to have to rotate probably northwest, if anything, if they're not going to actually swarm and take over from 2 p.m.
Yep. Okay, so we're here. We can break away from that because they looked fairly content to just look at each other for a little bit. We're here with Animals. They're at Camp Alpha, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, with blinding lights up there. They both took a northerly drop. Matasha has got a vehicle, actually, is heading south again to support his teammates.
Yeah, that's...
Uno dropped in the compounds on the eastern side of the northwest island.
And check out our friends from Top here, because, right, Top Blaze has been knocked. And they're getting into it with our friends from... Oh, they're getting into it with our friends from Vixard and Renz here. Definitely took a shot that... didn't like, so whacking in some meds, and they are somewhat separated, our friends from Top here, Jamie.
They are, absolutely they are. Yeah, they're possibly in a bit of trouble. The only good thing is they are separated, but they are effectively surrounding on 3 sides the Vixard team who are in that compound. So if they can make the most of it and use the angles they've got, then that counteracts the fact that they're separated out.
Okay, so Jelly looking...
As long as one of them, another one doesn't get knocked. Jelly, that's the only thing.
Jelly looking to smoke out his 6 here. Going to jump in the vehicle now. What is he going... Now then. Trying to potentially... Well, trying to change the angle, but they certainly read it, and he took a huge amount of damage coming in.
He made it, though. That's a hell of a move from Jelly.
Obviously, just wanted to get himself a slightly stronger position, maybe. He's back in his vehicle now.
Yeah, he's... Well...
Not entirely certain what he's trying to achieve here, Jamie, I have to say.
What he didn't see, though, is he didn't see the bad boy team up there, Team 11, who came in for some third-party action.
So that is 3 of the guys from Top knocked now. We're here with Ren's last surviving member and might be able to get to Blaze. But
Blaze has been revived already. It was actually, I'm not sure who it was that actually got, there must have been Ren's who got the revive, or was it Audrey?
So, Audrey is still knocked.
I'm assuming Blaze hasn't got any meds because he hasn't managed to heal anything up yet. So perhaps the Bad Boys team doing them a slight favour apart from the obvious third party, in that they're taking the attention away from them, from Vixard. Lovely tap fire onto the hill glitched picker.
So some great, very effective third party work. And that's Audrey now. Yeah, Audrey's now gone. So Vic, I think still at least a 3. But they are
coming in from the west of this fight. Just to let you know, coming in from the west of this fight, the 4 Angry Birds have left Hart in. They're now on the northern bridge. To the south of them, we've got Uno as well, because the zone shifted, and we're actually fighting where the bad boys are is pretty much centre zone.
So bad boys looking to consolidate the position that they have here. Happy to keep this a long range hurt type of engagement. The Angry Birds here still together as a 4. And establishing a presence. Interesting, establishing a presence on the bridge, which is not what you often see on Sarnoff.
It's not, but what's good about that is there is the cover on the bridge, of course, where you've got the like we see the trailer, and you've got plenty of boxes and cars and stuff there. But what they're doing is they're perhaps slightly hedging their bets. They know there's a fight going on. They can hear the shots. They're hedging their bets maybe where the later zones are going to go, knowing that if it goes to the west, teams are going to have to rotate across. But they do have the flexibility to go either way.
Okay, so we're 55 players still left alive, 15 teams. CN1, interestingly, are hugging the flanks so far. Normally trying to get early central zone, but that can be a mixed bag on Sarnoff, as Jamie was saying in a pre-match there. So yeah, they're still out to the west. Still got Bad Boys, who I have to say, looking like they've got good control over the ground here.
They absolutely have. Now they're nicely in centre zone. Lovely suppressed QBU there.
Yeah, so I don't think people utilise this weapon enough, actually, on Sarlacc. I don't think people, unless it's been severely nerfed, which I don't think it has, but it actually has some pretty high damage rate numbers, single tap
really
fire on
does.
the QBU. Can be a very effective DMR. It's one that I used to use as DMR quite often, early stages in this game.
It's got a very high damage, exactly as you say. It does have a high damage rating. One of the highest, actually, for a DMR outside of the Mark 14, I believe.
Yeah. Which is...
And they've got a good recoil pattern as well.
Yeah, I found it a very, very effective weapon. One that I would... well, obviously not as effectively as Young Leap in here, but one I would use at exactly this stage of the game for exactly this purpose.
As if you'd be that far away.
Well, I mean, admittedly, then it would be... See, this is why the Mark 14 is my favourite gun. I mean, not only is it the best weapon in the game, but you can literally use it for this type of stuff. But then when you really need to put the hurt on, you can use it from 4 inches away and just thump someone to death with it.
You can chop down trees with that bloody thing.
You really can. I like it.
So you see, I think, where is Silence? I'm just trying to see where CM1 Silence is. He's just been taken down. I'm just trying to find them. Oh, they're just southeast of Paradise. And we see them with the GC team either side of the road. They've got a compound each there. Is that them? I think it is, yeah.
So we're here with GC, who are getting into it with our friends from CN1. Silence as...
And just, if you can see the mini-map, you can see the edge of zone on mini-map. We are going further north, and it is going to be centred around that northern bridge where 4 Angry Birds are holed up. So that gamble's paid off so far for them.
Yeah, that's it's an unusual position. I've never seen a bridge camp like that in Tier 1 competitive scrims. I've never seen it, but it's I'm not going to say it's a good move. I'm not going to say it's a bad one either. It's an interesting one. It really is.
It absolutely is. And in fact, you see the Uno team are rotating on a vehicle to the west of the bridge.
Yeah. I was just anticipating that we might get somebody coming across this. There won't be anybody on the bridge, surely. So yeah, it's a very interesting one. I've just not seen anybody sort of camp it like that before.
Do you work the edges and prevent people from using the bridge, or do you wait for them to get on the bridge and use it as a kill zone?
So we've got Uno rotating in vehicles. Now they're rotating straight towards a couple of fellas from CN1 here. And yeah, these guys make their presence known. Was this the team that did win last game? I think it was, isn't it, Jamie?
It was, yes, it was, yeah.
I know we've got a couple of teams from CM1 in, but I think it was this particular squad that did take that win with that great move. And double 7-6-2s there. That often offends and settles the argument. So great work from the guys from CN1 here, and managing to keep themselves established as a 4 also.
Absolutely brilliant work there. Still got the one player to go here, Paradox. I'm sure he's cooking up a little treat for them. There is a gas can right next to him though. That's making me very nervous. Oh, nearly gets the
knock with that nade there. It was a beautiful thrown nade, and he repeats the process.
Jesus. That's the Team 22. That's blinding lights from all the way down on the road there. That was a hell of a spot to get from there on Zay.
So teams are starting to come together now. Looks like we're going to get some action down in the south on the main, down the south of Circle, back on the main island. We're down to 50 players left alive. And here we go, our friend here not going out without a fight, and takes a big chunk out of our friend from CN1. But the guy from CN1 does clear it, but in turn gets a little bit of third party. And yeah, I think we're in for a very, very exciting finish to this game, Jamie, because look at that split between the two coasts here, and this unorthodox position from the Birds. I'm liking it more and more, Jamie. I really am.
Yeah, it's a brilliant position. It's paying off for them at the moment, where it's almost a 50-50 decision which one you go for. Just looking actually south of Paradise at the moment, we've got a fight going on deep in the blue.
And that was great work there, breaking off the res on his teammate to clear up the pushing player. However, I don't think he's going to get time to get the res on, and the rest of the team come up for the push. But great work there, manages to get another knock, but ultimately the pressure proved too much, but didn't go down without a fight. But these guys are now fighting the blue.
Yes, they are. And look at zone now. That zone has shifted, and we're going all the way north, right onto the peninsula of the main island up there. So opposite Hartin, north of the bridge. The 4 Angry Birds are going to have to move off the bridge now. They've done their camping now. They're going to have to move.
And that was
it's CM1 Kid and JLSKR who are holding centre zone at the moment.
That is a brutal zone shift, and a lot of players here now really got to start shifting it. And all these players who jumped Western Island, non-guru like for you this week, mate. That was not a good place to be stuck. Not with that.
Not quite, no. I mean, they've only got a short distance to swim. We see the CM1 guys are going across the northern part of the river, of the estuary. They're actually swimming across at the moment. So they're going to make it across, as long as they do it safely. They've got their teammates at centre zone at the moment, so only 2. What a beautiful bit of work there.
Javi's going to have himself a sit down. He's just seen a piece of beautiful M24 work on Sarlok of all places. So yeah, great work there from Hydra. And yeah, that was such a brutal shift. We've got teams still fighting to make their way in. Another CN1 squad fighting to get in against GC squad number 14, who I believe are winners of game 1.
They were, absolutely. Yeah, so these guys fighting to make their way in. Now, one of the players from Team 14, the Faith Killers, has made his way in, but no, he's not. Just as he gets to zone, he's not.
And all of these players outside of Circle at the moment, but there's so many people running around that this phase of play, I feel, is really going to start thinning the herd, Jamie.
Absolutely, it will. We've got 3 teams, maybe 4, I suppose, that are well established in zone at the moment. CM1 have got a player in a compound centre zone. We've got the other players are roaming around. They're very split, CM1, but they're doing a good job of holding other teams up. To the east of them, we've got the Fly team, Fly New Star, over to the east. Now, they're going to be between 3G and CM1 over on the east of zone. And we see them here, 3G.
We've got a number of teams contesting this eastern part of the circle. Looks like the Birds are putting the hurt on Jesus there, who we did see make some interesting kills earlier. And well, this is going to become very brutal very quickly, I feel. And that is one of the guys from Fly now knocked. I think we're just going to have to take overview here, or we're just going to miss too much.
Yeah, there's just so much going on. We've got so many teams compressed in such a small area now. These guys aren't even in zone anymore.
That is one of the teams from CM1 looking to clear up Fly. We've also got another Fly player down engaged with 3G. Down in the small compound there. Another CN1 team dominating the high ground off to the north. And GC also getting into it with Bad Boys slightly outside of circle here. So everything going on, and yeah, we're down to 22 players left alive, but I've just got a horrible feeling that number is going to get very much smaller very quickly.
Absolutely is, and I think most of that's going to come from this eastern side where we've got CM1, we've got the Bad Boys, we've got 3G all out of zone. Bad Boys just had a few taken out. Jesus taken out there as well.
3G so making an aggressive move now.
Currently arguing over a compound now. You can see them there in the distance. They made it off the bridge. They got to a compound, and they have been getting involved in a fight. I think that's with CEK.
And I think they've managed to prevail in that one. So they've established themselves a compound house, edge of zone. It's a great play from those guys. CN1 off to their left. We've got two teams from CN1 not too far with each other. It looks like we've got 3G on the high ground there. Some nades coming in, and that certainly did some nasty damage to the fellas from 3G there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you've got is the CM1 team, is that the TipTop Teletub, isn't it? Team 19 from CM1. Now, they are absolutely holding their roaming zone at the moment. To their east, they've got 3G and another CM1 team. And to the south, they've got the 4 Angry Birds. So they're fighting on about 3 different flanks.
So CM1 and 3G just not letting up at each other here, knocking each other out, and it's going to come down to the final shots here. And 3G just take it. Now, there's 2 players knocked, but they've got 2 players knocked, but it should be able to get the reses on. And as we suspected, we lost half the amount of players just in that very, very quick phase of play. But 3G looks like they might be able to get themselves on their feet, and they're on the edge of circle here. 4 Angry Birds slightly out of circle, making their way in.
And CM1 are also there still. They've still got 3 players remaining. So we've got 2 full squads and a threesome here. Going to argue the toss over the final positions.
And you have to say, 4 Angry Birds have probably got a... Well, they've got an open rotation that they're attempting at the moment with a slight split, it looks like.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I would say that the CN1 and 3G guys going at it the way they are is probably going to be, potentially advantageous to the 4 Angry Birds.
I think it is. I think they've done a very good job with that 2-2 split there. Really clever. They're hedging their bets. They're having one on each, effectively 2 players going at each of these 2 teams while these 2 teams go at each other. So the 4 Angry Birds can concentrate on what's in front of them.
So Blue's starting to push forward now on CM1 Kid, so he's got to move. The guys from 3G now also out of circle. Angry Birds also out of circle. CN1 have actually got the best presence, but Angry Birds potentially not too difficult a rotation. However, I mean, everybody's going to be in range.
Yeah, at this stage, I mean, if you've got a red dot, you'll be able to see them. Everyone's so close now, it's going to be so difficult. 3G might become trapped up on the high ground there, I think. They're going to be covered from both sides here. CM1 and 4 Angry Birds.
And they've got to come across, and this is not looking good for 3G here. They've got to give up their cover to come forward, and they're also now getting pushed on. That's TD for 4 Angry Birds, but he in turn has been knocked, but he put in a huge volume of fire there. He was taken down. And that is Angry Birds taken down. So 3G actually prevail on that one. Safely straight back into it with CN1.
What a difference, 10 seconds makes. 3G are now in the driving seat. They've got 1 player knocked, but they've still got 3 guns in the fight at the moment. Their knocked player's been revived, and they are up against three players from CM1. And maybe the working on the 2 flanks didn't work for 4 Angry Birds there.
So we're here with Zay from C1. As we say, we've got a full squad of 3G in front. Does look like some knocks are going in now, though. The Kid. Right at edge of circle. He's putting in some rounds now. Both of these teams are slightly out of our phase 9 circle. I don't think he's going to get that far.
No, we've effectively got a 3-on-2, have we? Well, one of the players gets revived. No, he's been revived. He's just got to try and med up. He does get medded up, though. He's being pushed by Safely.
And the Kid going to take a slightly flanking high ground position here, but he has in turn been knocked. So I think there's just the 1 player up now from CN1.
But he's established knocks as well. We've got a 1v1 for the finish.
Yep, we do. And it's M762. And oh no, I think the guys from CN1 didn't manage. No, they did not manage to pull that off. The players from 3G there taking that one. That was a fantastic play at the end there. They looked like they were really up against it. And I had to say, I thought Angry Birds looked in a great position there. But 3G, CN1, 4 Angry Birds, all teams that have been contesting all night. So it's always going to be a very exciting finish to game 4. And ultimately, the guys from 3G there closing that one out in a fantastic display of gunfighting. So they take first place with 10 kills. Second, CN1. They take 11. 4 Angry Birds. They take 6. And let's have a look. 5 kills for one of our friends from CN1 there. Another 5 from one of the GC players. Okay, we're going to take a very, very, very short break, and we'll be in with some post-match in just a minute. But a fantastic conclusion to our evening of scrims here. We'll be back with you boys and girls very shortly. See you soon. Just finishing up. Okay, we're back, and what a conclusion to our evening of scrims with TipTop. Jamie and I, as always, we were looking forward to some fantastic action. And the evening just seemed to get better and better as it went on, frankly. And what an exciting conclusion to game number 4 on Sarnock there. Yeah, I mean, we had some fantastic action there. I mean, I loved the unorthodox play and control of 4 Angry Birds. But you have to say our winners there, I mean, my word, they looked like they were up against it and pulled it out of the bag with 2 very aggressive, good gunfighting teams coming at them. Outstanding play at the end to close that one out.
Absolutely was. And I even said in commentary, I thought 3G were trapped. I thought they were trapped at the top of the hill there.
Yeah.
I thought because they were fighting on 2 flanks, they were under so much pressure, but they rode out that pressure. Now, for me, the move by 4 Angry Birds, doing that 2-2 split and fighting on those 2 flanks, they were going one duo up against the 3G guys, one duo up against CM1, and because CM1 and 3G were fighting each other, I thought that was a really good decision. It turned out, actually, because they were split, they didn't have enough guns in the fight to then keep going, and 3G played it out, and, well, we ended up with a 1v1 at the end. And, yeah, I hands up, I thought 3G were trapped. I thought they'd got too close to the edge of zone, they were stuck on the high ground, but no, they fought out their way.
Yeah, just a fantastic, exciting conclusion to some scrims. Exactly what we've come to expect from TipTop lobbies. Just really exciting gameplay. Games 1 and 2 in composition were actually quite similar. Benign flight lines, benign zones, and ultimately what decided those games was very good final zone control. We saw now the winners of game 1. We saw
3G.
3G, yes, it was, wasn't it? They won the first game. We saw 3G controlling their side of the road very, very well. Final circle in game number 1. It was GC Faithkiller who did precisely the same thing in game 2. And then things really did start to sort of ramp up, as it were, with the up close crash engagements in Vikendi. And then that final game on with a great push by CN1 on Vikendi, and also great individual play from 4 Angry Birds. And then, many of the same. Well, basically, you had. I'm disappointed that Angry Birds didn't manage to pull a win out this evening. I thought they played very, very well, but they were always very close to it. But in the end, there, we had CN1 who'd been contesting all night, 3G who'd been contesting all night, 4 Angry Birds been contesting. We saw a lot of aggressive pushes by Animals. as we've seen them do on several occasions. So a couple of teams from GC doing well, a couple of the CN1 teams doing very well. Just a fantastic evening of scrims, Jamie.
Absolutely, and who knew that the hardest zone shift would be on Sandhawk? All the way north to that peninsula there. It took out a load of teams and put a lot of teams under pressure. The 4 Angry Birds, as you say, really clever work, use of the bridge there. But I think maybe that's one of the reasons they didn't get quite such a high kill count as some of the other teams. They got their kills, I think, in the later stages, as we saw on the hillsides. But they hedged their bets. They were there. They were able to go west or east, depending which way the zone went. So it's clever work.
Yeah, fantastic work from these guys, and a great pleasure to cover. As always, I'd like obviously to thank our organisers, TipTop. Well managed, well run event as always. Congratulations, boys and girls. You really do a spectacular job. Thank all of you for watching and commenting in the stream. Always nice to see. And, you know, the players, we don't have anything without exciting players, good players, and we got plenty of that this evening. Really was a joy to cover. Thank you very much indeed for the co-cast, Jamie. Class act as always, my friend.
Pleasure as always. My Nostradamus work was completely off this week. I promise you I'll be back into the drawing board. I'll be back next week with my better predictions for each match. But yeah, absolute pleasure. Love the gameplay. Love casting the TipTop. And yeah, it's good to have you back, mate.
Yeah, cool. Fantastic. Okay, then, boys and girls. Well, thank you all very much indeed for a very entertaining evening of scrims. That's our stream for this evening. We, as Jamie said, we will see you probably the same time next week to cover more TipTop action. So once again, thank you all very much indeed. I'm Vimes17 casting with Jammy Gaming. As always, good hunting and bye for now.